And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome on into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, ready for 3 hours of fantastic sports talk in the Flower City. Glad you're listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. You can hear The Fan Rochester on your device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, or hear us in the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps. Hell, we'll even stream on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. Thank you for watching the Sports Bar. How are you, Gene Battaglia?
I am well. Sun is out. It is it's a good day to be a Sabre fan, I suppose, if you're angry that you took 3 of 4 points as opposed to 4 of 4. This is where we are these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. And Super Bowl week, not really wrapping my mind around that just as of yet.
What about the Pro Bowl games? You didn't wrap your mind. No time spent with the Pro Bowl games last night?
The NFL is great in imaging. We can all agree, right? They know, they get their messaging down, and when they do these tentpole events, whether it's the draft or whatever it may be, combine, it always comes off. It prints very well. Except last night. What are they doing? It looked like at the Riverside Convention Center, what they put out there.
Where did the old, they're playing at the Armory?
The Main Street
The Main Street Armory?
Rochester Raiders on deck there at the Main Street Armory. The Dome Arena, is that still standing? I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't watch any of it. I mean, I was kind of glued in on the Sabres and seeing how they looked in Tampa and see the highlights of the Pro Bowl games. Oh, there's this pass from Joe. Like, they're not even trying. It's a complete it's not even practice speed. It's just an exhibition. It's just
show up.
It's a circus.
Get your paycheck. Credit every agent who builds in, hey, if you're named to the Pro Bowl, you get a bonus. And so it ultimately is, I'm here just for the appearance fee. Smile, shake a few hands. Deion Dawkins was out there, and he was on One Bills Live today. And honestly, Danger, I don't know how they get rid of it. As long as they're making money on this, it's still going to be a thing, right? And we'll just kind of roll our eyes. But just when you thought they couldn't bury it any further, like we started off having this Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago. Hey, you get to go to Hawaii, yay. And it was always such a letdown, like, oh, this is the final game. But it was always kind of a real game. And the last highlight that we could say was Brian Moorman, getting thrown in the next week, right, by the late Sean Taylor. And then, it's too tough out in Hawaii. Let's move this to Orlando. Concussions are a real thing. What are we doing this for player safety? And then the Pro Bowl games, and that's in Orlando. But you know what? It's nowhere near where we're going to be set up. Why don't we put this in the market, and at least we get some exposure where the Super Bowl is going to be? And that's what led us to last night. Like, what are we doing?
This is the third flag football Pro Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, I imagine they do it because there's enormous sponsorship revenue attached to it, and it's a way for them to kind of easily appease some of those sponsorships, I would imagine. Like, hey, big corporate sponsor, you want a chance to hang out with Joe Burrow or meet Joe Burrow or get a picture with, that's what last night is about, right?
Well, you know my nephew, Nate, right? So 4 or 5 years ago, he went to the one in Orlando. This is not Pro Bowl games, it was actual Pro Bowl, thinking, hey, this is a cash setting. I've got good seats. I should be able to at least get an autograph or a selfie or something with the players. Not at all. No. That's saved for like the VIP, the corporate partners.
It's not a fan event.
No, it's not.
Even last night, and when you watch the highlights today, it's like, I don't know if there are fans. I don't even know that there are stands there. Did they show any of the crowd? Was there a crowd? Were there bleachers? What was?
Yeah, just they're standing like too deep around. It looks like an arena event. When you say Main Street Armory, I'm like, oh, that's the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Like, where can we put something real quick here together? That's why for the NFL, I just kind of smile and laugh for like a league that fashions itself. We get everything right. That was minor league last night.
Well, yes, it is. It's not what we grew accustomed to, and certainly not what we grew up watching with the actual Pro Bowl. I don't know. I still think there's something about going to Hawaii, but maybe that's just not a big deal for anybody anymore. Like if you're spending the time in Hawaii, that's a good place to be this time of year. But I suppose worse places to be than Northern California. It just doesn't capture me knowing that they're not playing for anything. They're not really trying. They're not some of these passes were like just high school passes have more. High school quarterbacks have more velocity on some of these throws. Just easy plays being made, scoring and scoring and scoring, and it's just not for me. I'm out on the Pro Bowl. I've been out on the Pro Bowl. It's a circus.
Well, now the fact that you put it on a Tuesday night, and to be honest, I didn't watch a minute of it.
Same.
I watched the Sabres last night, pretty much wire to wire. We'll get to that. We got Paul Hamilton coming up bottom of this hour. He's back from Tampa as just one game left before the Olympic break that's at home against Pittsburgh on Thursday night. So, I think people are starting finally in our area to say, wow, this team is actually something to kind of get your arms around here. But watching last night, like, well, that's a team that's been there, done that, and Tampa stealing the extra point last night. Stealing, in my opinion. And that's a lesson for the Sabres they're going to have to figure out here.
I just watching that game, which is a reminder, like Tampa's still really good. Like Kucherov is really good. Getzel's really good. Like they're good players. Vasilevsky's obviously elite. And the Sabres looked good. I mean, they hung.
Well, they didn't get the second period. Terrible. Not a shot on goal until like 5 minutes remaining. So there were some things that went wrong. Terrible giveaway by Dahlin, but it wasn't his stick. Kind of a weird sequence. But they kept coming back. And the fact that they have these three guys on the blue line.
They're scoring.
They're scoring.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for Bob Wischusen. Bob Wischusen, who calls the New York Jets, and he's the voice that was calling the game last night, 3 times called Matthias Samuelsson Michael Samuelsson.
Ooh. I also couldn't help but notice he said Consta Hellenis.
Now that one is debatable.
Is it? Don't we have it right from the player's mouth?
I have it in my phone. You can hold your phone up to play things over the air. Maybe we'll get this, but like he says Hellenius. So
Consta Hellenius. Well, I keep hearing Hellenis. Or Hellenus. Well,
you'd be surprised though. Like if there's one thing as a parent that I could like kind of impart, make sure your children don't say, oh, whatever. No, it's your name. You pronounce it. There was one time doing a women's basketball game in Sydney Bloomfield. Sydney, is it Bloomstein. Bloomstein or Bloomstein? Oh, whichever is fine. No, this is your name.
Whichever is fine.
No, it's not fine. I'm not going to guess. It's not an either or thing.
If we're going to talk Sabres with Hamilton, this is just crossing the feed now. We should announce some breaking news here from the NHL.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
If you're a Sabres fan holding your breath for a star forward being added before the trade deadline by the name of, is it Artemi Panarin or Panarin? I don't know. Either or works, I suppose.
Well, I think of Panera.
He's a bread man.
The bread man. Yeah.
Artemi Panarin is going from the Rangers to the LA Kings in exchange for a conditional third-round pick and Liam Greentree prospect. So it's going to be the Kings with the bread man.
That's it.
Guy wanted
third round pick and a prospect.
If I'm not mistaken, there was he had to approve the destination,
okay.
Correct?
Yeah. So if you want to get on, Jarmo Kekalainen for this, that if the veteran has some say, I think that's one where you say, all right, okay.
Yeah. Love you, Jarmo. I'd rather play the rest of my career in LA if that's possible. Fine.
Well, when we have Hamilton on, I think the Sabres should be buyers, but what do you want to be buyers for? Because I think there's one thing that's clear, Danger. The thing that's clear to me is, hey, the 3 goalie thing, No, we've been saying that all along. But Colton Ellis, this is a reason why he was the third guy last night. Just he was okay last night, but I kept thinking, all right, if you have one of the other two guys, then you should be getting the point there. UPL or Alex Lyon. UPL, by the way, is not going to be available for the Olympics, so that's kind of a bummer. We'll talk to Paul Hamilton coming up at the bottom of the hour. I'm not upset about Panarin going. It's good that he's out of the conference, if you're looking at that from that standpoint.
I just love the player. I mean, selfishly, I would have loved to have seen him come to Buffalo. That would have been a lot of fun. Always loved the player, dating back to his time in Chicago. But now we'll see him in L.A., and that's your bit of NHL breaking news. Paul Hamilton from WGR will be joining us here in about 15 minutes or so. We'll talk more Sabres. We will allow ourselves to explore Super Bowl 60 later this afternoon as well.
Yeah, as we will talk to our guy, PJ Glasser. It's our first trip to Radio Row, Danger. He's out there. And so we'll talk to PJ, kind of get the sights and sounds where Radio Row is actually in San Francisco, which is nowhere near Santa Clara. But we'll get PJ's thoughts on what that is like out there in the Bay Area. For this matchup, how do you play this? And you could just play straight money line. You could play. Is there a parlay that we can kind of build together on this? Because isn't that what you want? I mean, you could do the squares in your office, and hey, you can win, $50 here, whatever. By the way, Derek hasn't put them around the squares this year.
That's because nobody buys them. Nobody buys them. Hey, we're doing a squares competition. Who wants in?
And then Derek ends up buying.
And then it's crickets. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, really? There are people in our office that I don't think have a grasp or a handle on how it actually works, how it is kind of like random, and there's no risk. But it is like there is. I mean, it's a lottery basically. Like, okay, here's my $5 or whatever it is, and hopefully it works out in my favor. Plus, I think a lot of people in this particular office soured on the fact that it felt like every year there was a pool or a squares competition, the boss lady won.
Yeah.
Every year. Like, oh, God. Another example of the rich getting richer. Come on.
But in fairness, you didn't pick the 0-7 beforehand.
No, but it did, yeah. So if Pizza Dude does the square competition for the office,
I think we're running out of time.
I don't think anybody's going to do it. I just don't think anybody. He's not going to get enough people to do it. He's going to have to spend his own money filling it up with squares and hoping that he wins it back. That's not fun for Pizza Dude. PJ Glasser stopping by live from Radio Row right around 4:25 this afternoon. You can pull up a stool and join us. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is 866-4FAN 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
When it comes to cronyism, is there a worse profession than NFL coaching? I present you this, Mike Danger. Somehow, I think it's funny on a few levels. There's a new offensive coordinator in Arizona.
Oh.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh, come on.
Now, I think it's funny because Nathaniel Hackett's such in demand. He was the quarterback coach just named in Miami. But, hey, since this is a bigger position and seemingly more money, sorry, Dolphins, I will not be joining your staff down there. I'm heading out to be with Mike LaFleur. That's got to be the connection here. But seriously, that's the best you could do
at this stage. I think that's the best you could do.
And like, if you say, what is the disease of who you know, and that's the hiring criteria, it's cronyism. Like, we want it. Like, hey, defensive side, we all nod our heads. Jim Leonard, okay, maybe there's some downside that we don't see right now, but yeah, that's a great hire. And then we look at Pete Carmichael. Oh, no. He's not my friend. Oh, okay. You did work with him, though.
Right.
It's funny. Like, if you had to guess sometimes who's going to be hired for these openings, well, then just trace back their career. It's just one big circle.
I mean, I guess in this instance, you have a bit of a reference there in your brother. You could reference his time in Green Bay and be like, how was he as an OC? Because I'm going to be calling plays, but how was he for you? And I'm sure Matt would say nice things about his former OC, who was also good friends with Aaron Rodgers, obviously, and they followed each other to the Jets and didn't go very well. And That was after his failed time in Denver. I mean, he has a cup of coffee with Aaron Rodgers, goes to become a head coach. So he's got this experience on his resume.
Remind me, did Rodgers get Hackett fired with the Jets? Like, Rodgers had a lot of people thrown off that island there. Like,
yeah.
Was it Rodgers that, because eventually it's the head coach?
I'm trying to remember the timeline of all of that. But Rodgers got hurt that first season that Hackett was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so while he was gone, did Hackett survive the entire season that Rodgers was gone? I don't think he did, because Saleh didn't survive.
Right. Hackett's the first one out, and then it's Saleh.
Yeah.
But if it's nothing to do with Rodgers because he's hurt.
Was it the second year? I don't know. And regardless, he's got a lot of experience on his resume, not a lot of winning on his resume, unless you take the time in Green Bay when he had Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur calling plays. So at this stage of the cycle, I think this is probably as good as you can do if you're Arizona. If you don't like it, move faster on hiring your head coach. Be more decisive. Or hold on to your coaches a little bit longer. They're in the cycle that the Bills used to find themselves in. Oh, it's another 3 years. Who are we going to bring in now? It's a horrible place to be for a franchise. And when you see that Frank Reich is getting hired as the Jets offensive coordinator, like, that's where we are in the cycle right now. These weren't guys that we were talking about right away when coaches were getting hired. You were talking about Davis Webb, and you were talking about Declan Doyle, and you were talking about guys who are on the up and up, guys who are coming, Shieldhouse, and those guys are gone. They're gone. So now what are you left with? You're left with Frank Reich. You're left with that spare in Arizona, Nathaniel Hackett. The Bills did hire a quarterbacks coach today. I don't know if you saw this.
Yes. Yeah.
His name is Bo Hardigree, and he was with the Tennessee Titans, quarterbacks coach last year. He was an interim play caller each of the last 2 seasons. The Titans have been obviously inconsistent, and back in 2024, he was with the Raiders. They fired Luke Getsy. By the way, Luke Getsy, I think, might be the worst offensive coordinator of all time. Like, if you want to have a bad OC off, I would submit Luke Getsy. Like, for as much as I wasn't high on Matt Nagy yesterday, talking about Matt Nagy looks like Lombardi next to Luke Getsy.
It's funny. Whoever your fan base is, you could also nominate, I don't know, hundreds of other OCs in history.
Yeah.
But pops to my mind, Greg Roman.
Ugh.
Like, worst OCs in Bills history.
But he had success. I mean, like, he with the Bills,
Yeah.
yes. And I remember famously they fired him after that. It was after that Jets game with Rex, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I think the offense was actually okay. It was the defense that was bad that night. They lose, and Roman gets the axe. Back to Hardigree. So Getsy gets fired from the Raiders in 2024. And he takes over play calling for the Raiders that season. And then last season, when Brian Callahan lost his job, he took over play calling from him in Tennessee. The question here still remains on what to do with former quarterbacks coach Ronald Curry. Will he stay with the Bills in a different role, or is he actually headed elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm sure he's keeping his options open. I pulled up the list of Bills offensive coordinators. There's some doozies here. Remember
Rick Dennison. Rico.
Yep. Took over for Greg Roman. Who was the offensive coordinator before Greg Roman?
Yeah. Who was?
Who was it? I'll give you a big hint. His name has already come up on the sports bar here today.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett. Mockets Alex Van Pelt. Turk Schonert. Steve Fairchild. Here's another name from the past. Remember Joe Pendry?
Wow.
Joe Pendry, of course, former Bears head coach, was here. So Dan Henning.
Yeah. There's a list of suck.
Lot of guys that just, I'm sure, yeah, that's why they don't last long.
Yeah. Tough gig. We'll see how Hackett does, and we'll see how Hardigree does. I really don't know the quarterback's coach for the Buffalo Bills. Like, what What do you really are you organizing what for Josh Allen? Are you organizing what for Josh Allen and his backup? How does that all look? But that's the move that the team made today.
Before we get to Paul Hamilton, it is the NBA trade deadline tomorrow. No, Giannis hasn't been dealt, but surprise! There's Anthony Davis getting traded again. So Davis, the centerpiece in the Luka deal, he goes to, in my opinion, the worst organization in the NBA. That would be the Washington Wizards.
Oh, come on, not anymore. Trae Young, Anthony Davis, who's stopping the Wizards, man? The Wizards to the moon.
Yeah. Okay. 8-player trade, and long story short, it seems like this is just clearing cap space and aprons and all this other jargon for Dallas coming up next year. So what a waste. What a waste by Dallas. But you lucked out because you got Cooper Flagg. Yay, you.
Yeah, and he's on a bit of a heater right now. And then also James Harden going to the Cavs for Darius Garland. A couple of everybody's holding their breath. Who's going to get Giannis? Where is Giannis going to go? I would care if I like the player more, but I can't get over the loser energy around Giannis.
No, did you yes or no? Did you get promotion? Yes or no?
It's not a failure.
It's not a failure.
It's not a failure when you're the 1 seed, get bounced by the 8 seed, and your coach loses his job the next day after you say it wasn't a failure. Get out of here with that. Hopefully it made you better, but in the case of Giannis and the Bucks, it hasn't been that good in quite some time. Yeah. We got to get to Paul Hamilton and talk about the Red Hot Sabres. One more game before the Olympic break. And while we have Paul on, we'll get his take on what we think we could see in Rochester during the Olympic break as well. If I read what you said yesterday correctly, if I heard what you said correctly, there are a couple of guys that could return to Rochester and a couple of guys who've played too much time with the Sabres to come back to Rochester.
Yeah, that's Chad Diedemus. It's Oslin and Metza are the two guys that, okay, if they both came back, okay, I give them to us for 3 weeks. So we'll talk to Paul Hamilton about the Sabres and, all right, how do they pick up where they left off after this long break? We'll explore that with Paul coming up.
All right, yeah, you join us anytime at 866-4FAN. Again, 866-4326 to join us in the Sports Bar.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 95.7 The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
It's hockey night tonight in the Flower City. The Amerks hosting Belleville. This is Game 5 of the 6-game homestand. Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks will be by at 7 o'clock with the call here tonight on The Fan. One note from the NHL, the Rangers trading Artemi Panarin to the LA Kings. That's for a third-rounder and a prospect. We'll talk some Sabres coming up next. Paul Hamilton from WGR joins us. The Buffalo Bills making a new coaching hire, Bo Hardigree, quarterback coach. Steve Tasker with more.
Bo Hardigree, he was with the Raiders for a hot minute under Josh McDaniel, who was head coach of the Raiders for a minute, and Hardigree took over play calling during the rest of that Raiders season after Josh McDaniel got let go.
The Dallas Mavericks sending Anthony Davis to Washington as part of an 8-player trade. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You know what, we're coming in with a lot of confidence. Everybody's coming in trying to prove themselves, and we're trying to prove as a team that we're legit. We're not just going to go for the playoffs, we're going to go for the cup, and that's our goal. To get better each and every day. That's it. That's the end goal, honestly. We're not in here just to squeak in. We're in here to try to keep winning.
Sabres forward Alex Tuch. Belief is a scary, scary drug. And this team, man, they have come out of nowhere this season, turned it around, get 3 of 4 in Florida with the overtime loss to the Lightning last night as we welcome in WGR's Paul Hamilton. Paul, we are trying to identify the moment when the light switch turned on and this team started playing to their potential. You're very close to this team, and we've heard stories. It could be as simple as they moved off of the GM, but I like to believe that it's a little bit deeper than that. And you know, there's stories about Edmonton. There's stories about a dinner that a bunch of the players had together. What have you heard, and what do you take away as far as like the moment that this team flipped the switch and became what they've been here over the course of the last month plus?
Well, the players have had a lot of dinners together. I mean, I never even heard anything like that. And the GM had a big part of it. For me, it was the Detroit game in Detroit. That was the game that Rasmus Dahlin got back from Sweden, where he was with his fiance. They had some medical meetings that they had to take together, and he was gone for a week or so. And he showed up, and there was a huge difference in him. It was obvious. The trip did him a lot of good. He was smiles ear for ear. Everything was going well. He was positive. And you could tell, because we talked to him before the morning skate or after the morning skate, and you could tell just from the other players how happy they were for him and how uplifting it was. If you recall, they were behind 4-1 in that game, and they came back and won it on the road. They hadn't won a road game, and they came back and won that hockey game, and they did it together. And to me, that was the start of it. And Kevin Adams, and I've said it on your show before, it wasn't – Kevin Adams made some good moves, and I've always maintained that everything he did was not bad. There were some bad trades, and there were some good ones. What my problem with Kevin Adams was a couple of things. He surrounded himself with inexperienced people who had never done their jobs before, including him. And also, it's what he didn't do that I had the problem with, not what he did. In the off season, he was active, and he made moves, and he would change over 20% of the team or whatever. But when his team is 13 games without a win, he got frozen. He did absolutely nothing. He didn't even wave somebody or call somebody up or anything. He just sat and watched. And the players, you could just see them, the way they were playing, they were begging for help. Nothing came. This year, 1 win in 9 games early in the season. Nothing. Just sat there and watched. That's my problem with him. It's what he didn't do, which I think hurt this franchise more than what he did do.
Paul, tough to put your finger on this, but in my opinion, I see a Sabre team that's a little little more mentally tough here. Facing adversity, take the game Monday night in Florida where, okay, you get the lead a couple times, you're going to give it back there. And teams of the past with a lot of these same players like, oh, it's not our night, and you just see it kind of cave in there. How would you kind of describe this? How has this team kind of grown in that way where, hey, this might not be going exactly according to plan, but we're going to figure out a way here to get the 2 points here tonight?
This is a stubborn group, the guys that have been together for a while. And when Granato was here, it was the same thing. They want to do it their way. They think they know the best way to do it, not the coach. So when they did it Granato's way, they usually won, but they didn't do it his way very often. In comes Lindy Ruff, same thing last year. Again, they're going to butt heads with them. They're going to do it their way most of the time. But when they did it Lindy Ruff's way, especially near the end of the season, it worked. And I think finally they just said to themselves, why don't we try his way for a while? Our way hasn't worked for the last X amount of years. Why don't we just do what he tells us to do? And let's see if that works. Guess what? It does. I mean, look at, for example, and I use this example a lot, the goal that Rasmus Dahlin scored in Toronto where he went to the net and tipped the puck in. Yeah. Samuelson shot from the point. You never see a defenseman standing in the crease tipping in a shot by his defensive partner. Why was that a great play? Because he was in the left circle. He took a look back at the point, and there was a forward covering up for him. That's new. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't have each other's backs. If a defenseman came up the way Ruff wanted them to, there was nobody back. Now, if you look and a defenseman comes up, there's almost always a forward back. They've got each other's back. So Dahlin says to himself, I'm good. We're covered up. I'm going to the net. He goes to the net, tips in a puck, in, and you got a goal. How many goals has Byram scored from the left circle, coming in on a rush? Because he knows there's a forward as a five-man unit that's got his back. Those are the types of things that Lindy Ruff has been trying to get these guys to do. Finally, he's gotten them to do it, and they've gotten a maturity now that, they feel like, all right, we had a bad second period. Notice Nashville, and I believe it was Montreal, they had horrible second periods, but they didn't lose the lead. They still had the lead at the end of 40 minutes. They had a 4-0 lead, it became 4-2. They had a 3-0 lead, it became 3-2, but they still had the lead. And then they pulled themselves together in the intermission, came out, played a great third period, and won a hockey game. Florida, all they needed to do is win the third period. They did it, won a hockey game. Almost in Tampa against a team that is now 18-1-1 in their last 20. They needed to win a period. They got ahead twice, but unfortunately it got away from them right at the end. So it doesn't work every time, but they're, I think, a much more mature team. And they always, the first thing they say after a loss is, we can't let these losses pile up. It's not the loss you worry about. It's like, how do you handle the loss in the next game? And they're doing much, much better at that.
One of the guys that we know is a vocal guy in that locker room is Alex Tuck. We started our conversation with the soundbite from late last week where he's saying, look, we're not trying to squeak into the postseason. We want to win the cup. And that's from a guy that his future is kind of still uncertain. What do we know about Alex Tuck and his future with the Sabres, Paul?
Well, somebody in that organization doesn't realize that Alex Tuck was holding all the cards. They cannot afford to lose him, and I understand how old he will be when he signs the contract, 30. And at some point, you will probably regret the contract. You will have a fan mutiny, and you will have a locker room mutiny if he gets traded before the trade deadline. Even if you're not going to re-sign him, you got to keep him. Now he becomes a rental, and then you get nothing for him. Fine. I will not criticize that. You're trying to make the playoffs here. Right now, you're trying to get home ice advantage in the playoffs. You're right there.
Yeah.
If you jump into second place, you have home ice advantage. You have to keep Alex Tuck, no matter what the decision is. And you know what? Even if it goes past the trade deadline, that doesn't mean he's not going to be re-signed. That just means you probably aren't going to get anything for him if he does leave. That's all it means. I've seen plenty of players signed after the trade deadline. But I just don't think they can afford to let that particular player go. Kempe of the LA Kings got $10.7 million. I do not know exactly what Alex Tuch is asking. Alex Tuch is a better player than Kempe. They both score goals. Kempe is not even close to the two-way player Alex Tuch is. As far as Tuch is one of the best penalty killers in the NHL. At swiping the puck and turning into transition goals the other way, he's one of the best in the NHL. Those are things Kempe doesn't do. So you're probably looking at $11 million or so. I don't know if Tuch is asking for more than that. I get that a 7-year deal takes him to 37, but at some point, you just got to stop the, well, this isn't worth it, whatever, and go for it. Look at how the Florida Panthers, they signed some players to some bad contracts in the last year or two. But you know what they got twirling around down there is 2 Stanley Cups. You know, if Alex Tuch is part of a Stanley Cup winner, and at age 35, the contract is a bad contract, but you have a cup and you have a banner, so what? You at least won a cup. Something's never been done around here. So this is a different case. I just don't think they can afford to lose him. And somebody around there has to get to the realization that you are going to, maybe if you feel you're overpaying, so what? You will have a problem on your salary cap for 1 year. Then that year will be relieved because Skinner's salary will go down. And if you go to Mallenstein and Kesselring and those guys and say, look, we have a problem this year. We're going to give you a low one-year deal. We will take care of you next year. I think Mallenstein would sign that in a minute. He loves it here. I think there are ways, and Benson's in that group. I think there are ways, to get around the 1 year you're going to have a problem with the salary cap, even if you got to trade somebody else. But I just don't think they can afford to lose this guy.
Paul Hamilton joining us. Sabres tomorrow night hosting Pittsburgh, final game before the Olympic break. We'll get to the Olympic break questions in a second. Paul, just want your reaction to the trade that happened here in the last hour. Artemi Panarin going from the Rangers to the Kings, this for a third-rounder and a prospect. Also kind of coupling that with, all right, the Sabres should be buyers, correct? What if so? Paul, what should they be in the market here for?
Well, Danforth is an excellent face-off man, but he broke his kneecap, and he's only played 4 games. So, they need a face-off guy, whether it's him or whether it's somebody else. They could use a power play guy, which would add depth to your top 9, which I think they desperately need. It's just to add, help that if you get some injuries, you have some depth. So that's basically what I would be looking for. Is somebody that can maybe help your power play, a good face-off man, and just some depth to your team. If you wanted to add a depth defenseman, although you know what, with everybody there, Bryson is number 7 and Metsa is number 8. I have no problem with either one of them playing. And Metsa is doing what he has done at every level of his life. When he gets the opportunity, he seizes it and never loses it. He did. Remember when he showed up in Rochester after winning the championship in college in the playoffs?
Quinnipiac.
Yeah, and they had injuries, so they had to throw him right in. Signed an AHL contract, not an NHL contract. Seth Happer couldn't take him out of the lineup. He played so well. Even when guys got healthy, he was in the lineup the whole time. Next thing you know, he's the captain of the Amerks. Next thing you know, he has earned an NHL contract for the first time this year. Well, let's call him up, see what it's about. Can't get him out of the lineup. Maybe he's the number 7 defenseman now because it seems like he's in more than Bryson is, with the injury to Timmins. So I was originally thinking you might be able to use a depth defenseman, but unless you get like a bunch of injuries, I like their number 7 and 8 defensemen right now.
Paul, you mentioned the Amerks, and our captain is playing well for the Sabres. We could use some reinforcements. The Olympic break is coming up, and I'm wondering, I know some of these guys, and I think Metza falls under this category, have played too much to the point where they couldn't come back down during the Olympic break. How does it all work? Could there be some reinforcements coming Rochester's way here for this little stretch?
Yeah, you may. Helenius might come back. You might see that, especially if Norris plays on Thursday. They're discussing that. I think Norris could play. I think they're discussing if they want to do it, or would it be better just to forget the one game and bring him back after the break? If he plays, Helenius might be back on Thursday. We'll just have to wait and see. Ausland, he's played. I don't think you guys are going to see him again, unless he's on the playoff roster, which they might do. But he's just been too good with the Sabres. Until they get Timmins back, I don't think you'd see Metza back at all. So you might get one guy back, and that's what the trade was for Bayreuther.
Yeah.
They flipped the depth. You guys needed some defensemen down there because of the defense up in Buffalo. At the time, Jones was up here too. And Nuchev was never going to make the NHL. I mean, he just wasn't. He's not good enough. So, they decided to do an AHL trade to help the Amherst and flip the depth a little bit and give them a veteran guy on defense.
Talking to Paul Hamilton, Sabres tomorrow night hosting Pittsburgh. And then, Paul, the million-dollar question, I'm sure you get this asked a lot. A year where we have this Olympic break coming up, what can be done? Where do you think this team, how difficult, or maybe it's not difficult, for this team to pick up right where they left off here? Your thoughts on the Sabres heading to a break where this is a lot of fun, and this is not when you want to actually break here?
Yeah, the players are enjoying playing hockey. They're enjoying coming to the rink, which is important. It's been a long time since these players have enjoyed coming to the rink. It's been drudgery for 14 years, and forever long, some of these players, they've been Sabres their whole career. And now it's fun to come to the rink, and they enjoy being around each other. And you talked about a dinner. Well, these guys have dinner all the time with each other. I mean, they always have. They've been a close-knit group. And, so it's not a good time for it to happen. Now, some of them will have vacations planned. I know the last Olympics, I think 11 of them with their wives or girlfriends or whatever went somewhere across the ocean. I don't know where it was, and vacation together. And wouldn't surprise me at all if there's some guys that have planned that, which of course you want to look forward to and get a break. It's just like one of us who goes, all right, we get our 2-week vacation. Isn't this nice? Type of a thing. It's the same thing. People sometimes forget hockey players are people too. Athletes are people too. They're husbands, they're fathers. And to get away with your family is something that, everybody wants to do. But at this point where you're finally playing this kind of hockey in some of them for the first time in their careers, it's like, we don't want to lose this feeling. So, unfortunately they're going to have to, they get back, I believe it's on the 18th, whatever that Wednesday is. I think it's the 18th. That's going to be their first day of practices back. And, it'll be up to them not to lose that feeling.
When you talk about the Olympics, is it USA, Team USA, Team Canada, and everybody else? Is there a surprise in store? I mean, it feels like USA and Canada are kind of neck and neck here. Do you see it the same way, Paul? Usually,
but I always think that, and the next thing you know, I see Sweden sitting there, or I see Finland sitting there, and going, how did they get there? It's just like they always kind of pop up, out of nowhere. But last time, of course, remember with Ryan Miller and Crosby, for Team USA and Team Canada, when Canada won the gold and how well Miller played in that game. It usually does boil down to those two teams. I'd be pretty surprised if it doesn't. But as I said, Finland doesn't have the best players, the most talented players, I think is what I'm trying to say. But they're a great team and always are a great team with the way they play. So and if somebody gets a hot goaltender, you never know what they can do of one of those four teams.
Paul, last one for me, and it's a tough break for UPL where he will not named to the team he was named, but he's not going to be able to go with a lower body injury. Capersalo will be the replacement. Question about UPL: are we to assume that he's going to be okay post break here? Do we have any idea of a timeline for return?
I never assume on injuries because we're just not in on with doctors' appointments and everything. With him, Finland had to know by a certain date. What that date is, I don't know, because then they got to pivot. So it got to that date, whatever it is, where they had to know. And I think Luukkonen couldn't give them a definitive answer. Now, Lindy Ruff said he is improving, but maybe Luukkonen's thinking, I probably can play, but Finland needs more than probably. They need to know, yes or no. And unfortunately, I don't think he could give them a yes answer. And, of course, he's got it. The Buffalo Sabres have to come first. As much as these players want to play for their countries and be in the Olympics are a big deal in their countries, his number one priority has to be with the Buffalo Sabres. So he can't do anything that would, put that in danger. So, all we know is Lindy Ruff says he's improving. Things are going well. Maybe that makes you think, well, okay, things are going well. I would say maybe he has a good chance of playing after the break, but we don't know.
Yeah, and Paul, while we're on that, just quickly on the three-headed monster that is the Sabres goaltending situation that has always kind of been a rotation because of injuries. I mean, when the three are healthy, given what we know about UPL, given what we've seen out of Lyon this year, who's your number one? Do you have a number one? Do you even need to worry about here the rest of the way post-Olympic break?
I think they go back to alternating with Luukkonen and Lyon. I think they liked it. Lyon is 11-1 in his last 12 games, and Luukkonen is 7-2-1 in his last 10. So they liked how that was going. Now, once Luukkonen got injured, Lyon became the number one. Ellis played. Accounted for himself well against a very good Tampa Bay team because of the back-to-back. So Ellis played yesterday, but I think they liked going back and forth, and I think that's probably what we'll see when Luukkonen gets healthy.
Paul, what are you doing for the break coming up? Do you disappear here, or are you hanging out in Western New York?
A couple of years ago, I went to Cape Canaveral, and I really enjoyed it. Now I'm sitting here in 22-degree weather thinking, why didn't you plan a trip or something? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, why are you going to stay here and freeze to death until the 18th when the team comes back? You could have, I was just in Florida, but as I told you before we went on the air, I didn't leave my winter jacket in the room till yesterday. I got down to Fort Lauderdale. It was like 29 degrees. It's like, oh, this is lovely. I guess going to Florida wasn't a big deal. And then, of course, we're going to go back to Florida right, after the break. But, no, I stupidly did not plan anything, and I'm going to sit here and shovel snow with you guys.
All right, Paul. Well, we'll all compare notes. I think we're up to we've got to be up to close to 2 feet. I think with some of the drifts in my house.
Oh yeah, they're calling for more this weekend.
Oh, good,
too.
awesome news, great. All right, Paul.
Before I left, I had 15 inches.
Oh man, it's always great having you on with us, talking hockey, talking Sabres and Amerks. Paul, appreciate the time. Stay safe out there.
No problem. Take care.
There's Paul Hamilton, WGR. Some good insight there on the Buffalo Sabres.
So this is kind of a scrupulous question. So my neighbor was in the process of selling their house, and they moved. Okay, so they're not in town. So basically, it's kind of vacant, but the realtor is there. The realtor asked, not me, but the guy on the other side, hey, can you go over and blow out our driveway because we're showing the house?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that for free? Shouldn't that be the realtor who plows that out?
Ah, okay. This is a tough one. There's a part of me that wants to help out because when that house sells, it'll sell above its asking price, and it'll increase the property value for everybody in the neighborhood. So there's a net positive to come with the kind gesture of doing the driveway for them. Do I think the realtor should be responsible? Yes, I do think the realtor
should be responsible. So I asked, the friend of the person doing this, like, wait a second, what? Why? Why would you do this? Well, the new person moving in, you want to start things off on the right foot.
That's a good way of looking at it, too.
Yeah.
I always say that if a friend or a neighbor asks for help, you do everything you can to help them.
But this isn't a friend or neighbor. This is just the realtor saving the money on the.
It will be your neighbor eventually. And I don't know how close you were with the person who moved out.
Oh yeah, they were great people.
Right.
So,
I think that's probably where the realtor is coming from. Hey, everybody in this neighborhood is tight. Maybe I can get them to do me a favor instead of having to hire a plow guy or to do it myself. God forbid. I'm kind of over it. The shoveling, it's become a daily thing.
Wait, why is the word shoveling coming out of your mouth?
I'm sorry, the man plow.
Well, even man plow. Just I enjoy, going on.
The snowblower has been fired up a handful of times, and it's still satisfying. But I've found that now after I use the snowblower, it's not good enough. I still have to get out there with the man plow and the shovel and
chip
away at the ice.
Chipping. You don't need to see blacktop.
I want to chip away at the ice.
Don't need blacktop.
The satisfaction of knowing you can get a giant chunk of ice up off your driveway if you scrape it just a little bit with a shovel. Oh, Gino, warms my soul during this cold time of year. I need that in my life. Give me more of that. But all that being said, the getting up at 5:30 and doing the driveway at 6 a.m. so the kids can get out to the school bus or so we can get out of the. I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah, if I'm Paul. What are you doing? Get out of town, buddy.
Yeah, poor planning on Paul's part.
Yeah, hey.
You were in Florida. Yep. Stay in Florida.
Stay in Florida.
I can promise you it's not going to be 29 degrees there very long. Maybe another day or two, and then things will get better. Poor planning by Paul. Paul, if you need help, let me know. Let me know. There's always availability.
Maybe he wants to come cover the Amerks Friday.
Yeah, well, we got Amerks action for you tonight here in the Sports Leader. Belleville, the opponent at Blue Cross Arena, Game 5 of their 6-game homestand, and looking for their second win in a row after beating Hershey Friday night at the arena. Nice little break for the team, and they get back at it tonight. You'll hear all the action on your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey, the Fan Rochester. We'll go to Radio Row next hour with our betting expert, PJ Glasser, live from Radio Row, and we'll allow ourselves to talk some Super Bowl.
I guess.
I got a new pair of running shoes. You know what colors they are?
Tell me. It's I'm going to get Seahawk colors.
They're Seahawk colors.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, see, I got them. I looked at them. I'm like, oh, my God, they're Seahawks by a million.
See, I know you're a Bears fan, but I think you're a closeted Steeler fan, and I think that you have this respect for the Seahawks as well, which I find surprising that you're not into this.
You don't even mention the Bills.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
Right. I feel like if I wasn't a Bears fan, I would probably identify most with the Steelers. I think I've said that before. I've shared that before. I was born on the day of the Steelers beating the Vikings in the Super Bowl in 1975. And the Seahawks, I just loved the Legion of Boom. I just thought the way Sherman and Thomas and Chancellor played was just magnificent. That was a fun team. This team doesn't have that personality just yet. They play unbelievably, but they don't have that swagger, that personality.
I think both teams, whoever's going to be holding the Lombardi, we're going to be like, how did you get here? Like, that's going to be really weird to see.
Can we spend some time after the break talking about Sam Darnold? Because Sam Darnold is making the rounds. It's media, day, and it's this and it's that, and you're hearing more of Sam Darnold kind of like coming out of his shell and talking about like he's very. I feel like he's very self-aware.
Well, usually we pull for a guy like this, right? Somebody that has been down and out, and we've been dumped on, but look at him. He's like kind of the underdog, and I don't get that sense. I get kind of the sense that we're waiting for this to happen again.
Well, it's because I don't think he is the underdog. I think going into this, he's the favorite to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. So he's not really the underdog. I just think it's fascinating how we got here.
Yeah, let's just explore that.
And we'll talk to PJ Glasser, who's at Radio Row in Northern California. Will join us here in the 4 o'clock hour as well. Join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
You're listening to Sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills make a new coaching hire. Bo Hardigree, formerly of Tennessee. Chris Brown with more.
The Bills are hiring Tennessee quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree as their new quarterbacks coach. So he obviously worked with Cam Ward in his rookie season with the Titans this past year. Hardigree is entering his 13th season as an assistant coach in the NFL. Bounced around, been with a bunch of different teams.
Hockey tonight in the Flower City as the Amherst hosting Belleville. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call beginning at 7 here on the Fan Rochester. Couple of trades today in sports. First in hockey, the Rangers sending Artemi Panarin to the LA Kings is for a third-rounder and a prospect. The Dallas Mavericks sending Anthony Davis to Washington as part of an 8-player trade. Chris Paul also going to Toronto as part of a 3-team deal. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
All right, I know we were going to talk Sam Darnold here, but
we'll get to that in a second.
We have an update here, and the update is we are idiots. Or at least I think we owe a player an apology.
You see it this way. I'm hearing this different.
So what we have here, I think, is the audio version of, you remember the photo of the dress. Is the dress gold and white, or blue and black? Remember that? And it depends. Like, you look at it and you're like, I see it as blue and black. No, I see it as gold and white.
You have that. I remember Laurel and Yanni.
Yeah, Laurel and Yanni. Right.
Yeah,
so Laurel, Yanni. Okay, this is more like Laurel, Yanni. So are you hearing? You've been saying this whole time.
Consta Hellenius.
Hellenius. We've been saying Consta Hellenius from the moment he was drafted by the Buffalo Sabres. He comes to Rochester. Consta Hellenius. We've been saying Consta Hellenius when we talked to Mike Leone. Consta gets the call up to Buffalo, and you noticed it, and we all noticed it. Dan Dunleavy is saying Consta Hellenus.
Hellenus. I'm like, wait a second. We've been saying that wrong. And so we went back to the Amherst. Good friend of the show, Warren Kozel, helps us a lot. And what Warren does with all the newbies that come in, all right, hear it from himself. So this is the actual recording of Consta saying his name.
I don't quite have it. Okay.
Oh, no.
Hold on a second. I can find it.
Consta Hellenius.
Did you get that? Let me do it again.
Consta Hellenius.
He's saying Consta Hellenus. Gino, you had this all along.
Hellenius.
He's saying Consta Hellenus.
I'm hearing an extra syllable in there. Consta Hellenius.
Consta Hellenius.
Dude,
Hellenius.
What are you hearing?
Consta Hellenius.
This is, you know what this is? This is John Ram all over again. You don't even realize it. You don't even realize your Rochester accent. You want to add a vowel in there. There's no vowel to be had. He says Consta Hellenius. We've been saying it wrong the whole time, Gino.
Consta Hellenius.
It's easy.
Hellenius.
Oh, my God.
John Ram, I was completely wrong on. And every once in a while, the John Ram will slip up.
Yes.
Hey,
It's not Consta Hellenius. You just want to throw in another extra hard vowel in his name because we're from Rochester, and that's how we talk.
Okay, Danger, my defense on Consta Hellenius.
Consta Hellenius. No,
Hellenius.
it's Consta Hellenius.
It's Consta. That's how we say it.
Consta Hellenius.
Hellenius.
Yes.
Consta Hellenius.
Jeez, we've been saying it wrong the whole time. How embarrassing.
I'm not the only one, and you're not the only one.
I know, but I took your... you're like, I have it. I have it here. I have exactly how he pronounces it. And now when I hear it, I'm like, what are you listening to? That's not what he says.
Consta Hellenius.
Oh, my God.
Hellenius.
He says Consta Hellenius. And Paul Hamilton, who just joined us last hour, said Hellenist. And I'm like,
oh, no.
Okay, everybody's saying it right. Or everybody's saying it wrong except for us? Is that are we Shane Place people or are we Show and Place people?
Greg writing in, if you had to do this phonetically, Consta Hellenus.
That's what I just said.
Consta Hellenus.
Hellenus, yeah. Not Hellenius.
Consta Helenius.
Consta Helenius needs to come back to Rochester so that we can have a playoff run for the Calder Cup.
But he's played too many games right now, so
Well-
he's going to stay up now, but maybe he's on the clear day roster.
Well, he's on the clear day roster, and then we can watch him in the playoffs. And then after that, we can go to Bill Gray's and get a great plate.
For only $10.99.
$10.99? Maybe I'll get two. Consta Helenius
The funny part about
golfing
this,
with John Ram in the offseason.
Oh, my God.
I honestly thought, hearing that recording, that I was at. That's probably the moral of the story, right? People have their biases, and when I heard that, oh, we're correct. He's saying it the way I hear it, and you're like, no, he's not saying
He's saying
Helenius.
Hellenus. He's been saying it. He said it. Warren, God bless you for sending us that audio to straighten us out, and it wasn't enough. Gene still had his unconscious bias that we were saying it right all along.
I'm not alone on
We've been
this.
saying it wrong this whole time. Straight from the player, Consta Hellenus. And the guys that are way more professional than we are, guys like Paul Hamilton, Dan Dunleavy, they've been saying it wrong. We're still over here in Rochester saying,
Yeah, they're saying it wrong. It's Consta Helenius.
oh, man.
Chris writing in. You could write to us on X, the Fan Rochester. You remember Star Latulele?
Star Latulele.
Latulele. We couldn't get past that one.
Latulele or Latulele?
Latulele.
Well, so it's wherever you want to put the emphasis on his
Right.
name. But I think he always said Latulele.
Yeah.
Latulele.
Latulele.
Star Latulele.
I was
Yeah.
very happy when we didn't have to deal with that anymore.
Oh, the worst. What is wrong with us?
But did anybody ever say what the color of the dress was, by the way?
Nobody has an answer.
Nobody has an answer.
I want to say that was like 10 years ago. Here we are 10 years later. Everybody has weighed in, and there is no consensus.
I swear this is the sports version of
Laurel Yanni.
Like, okay, Consta.
There's nobody listening right now that just heard what I played and said, oh, yeah, he's saying Helenius. You're the only one, pal.
No, I'm not.
Listen to this.
Consta Helenius.
Dude, where are you hearing Helenius? He's saying Consta Helenius. It's so simple. It's so easy. And Warren was doing his job in making our lives easier, sending the actual pronunciation from the player himself. You just had this conversation last hour. No, it's not either or. It's not Helenius or Helenius. How do you pronounce your name?
Consta Helenius.
Unreal. Gino, unreal. That's amazing. That you still hear Helenius. Nobody else hears it. You're the only one. You're the only one.
I am
that
not
hears
the
Helenius.
only one.
I promise you.
It's only because that's how I heard it first. But we're not the only one. There was a nice woman who stopped this at the Blue Cross Arena.
She was nice. She came to us thinking we were experts. We were dummies. You
are
should
dummies.
not come up to us and
No.
ask us important questions like, how do you pronounce this prospect's name? Because we will tell you incorrect information. We told her, that nice woman came up to us. That poor woman, we misguided her. We told her, we think it's Helenius. No, we even have the audio. Here, listen. We couldn't play it because it was loud in the arena. You wouldn't have been able to hear it. But now, clear as day, thank you for sharing that, Gino. It's It's not Consta Helenius. It's Consta Helenius. Oh, my God. Oh.
Consta Helenius and the Sabres tomorrow night on the Fan Rochester.
We're going to call him Consta Smith. Just for our sake, just to keep it easy. We don't want any hard names to pronounce. Consta Smith will be just fine. Moving forward. Consta Helenius.
No one's backing me up.
You're the only one, I'm telling you. You're the only one that hears Helenius, and it's because of your unconscious bias towards wanting to be right.
See, I could drag Don and Andrew and other reporters into this too. Like, wait a second, we went to Buffalo. It's like they're probably looking down at us. They're like, they don't even know.
Get Moss Brooks on for just just to shame us for saying it wrong. Get Coach on with us just to shame us for saying it wrong all season long. This is embarrassing.
No, all season long, going back to last year.
Oh, this is embarrassing. This is shameful.
No, this gets even worse, Danger. How does this get even worse? Let me explain. So the Amerks have this kind of series they're going to put out on social media, and they're going to play at the intermission. And this is, was it before? It was before the holiday break, where Moss was like, hey, do you want to come in and tape? So they taped the video, and there's a segment about Consta Helenius.
Very good.
What did I say? Am I going to be this in front of everybody? Consta Helenius is... He's really doing good here in his second year in Rochester.
Yeah,
I'm afraid.
Where's he from? Oh, I don't know. But he plays really good. I don't know. I went with my old man after he got let go from Kodak. We went to the Blue Cross Arena for an Amerks game. And then after that, we went and saw the Sabres play at KeyBank.
Oh, my God. What have we done? What have we done? This is Gino, we need to be better. We need to be better.
Well, this is bad because everybody, look, they don't even know how to pronounce their players' names.
We need to be better. We watch the games, we hear Dan Dunleavy say his name, and yet we come back.
I'm like, no, Dan Dunleavy's saying it wrong.
What's Dunleavy doing? Is Dunleavy drinking? What's he doing? Why is he mispronouncing his name? It's Helenius, obviously. No, we have the audio. Listen to it. Consta Helenius. Yeah, right. Like we said, Helenius. Don't you hear it? No. Oh.
Jack writing in, Gene, thank God you don't mispronounce my name.
Jack. Jack's not a real name.
Jack's not a real name.
Oh, yeah? I have it on my driver's license from back when I worked at the Democrat and Chronicle.
You worked at the Democratic Chronicle, cuz?
Yeah, I worked there for years.
Oh, I worked over there at Bausch & Lomb.
You did?
Yeah, and then they left downtown.
Yeah, well, over there they also had Xerox.
Can you imagine Mike Danger just walking around his house, just...
I do this all the time. I do this all the time, and I don't know why my family has kicked me out. We go. I mentioned this earlier in the week. My daughter and I, when we go to Amerks games, I love going to Amerks games with my daughter. We will just sit and we will watch the action. We'll listen to the fans around us, and inevitably, somewhere either behind us, in front of us, in our vicinity, we'll hear it. And when we hear it, we just smile. We don't laugh. We don't point and laugh. We don't make fun.
I was there. Was it last year? There was some guy, some bald guy in front of us that really had it working. Like, oh, boy.
He was really into it. He really, really was into it. Go Amerks. That's a horrible call. I'm gonna go get I'm gonna go get a Jenny Cream Ale.
Oh my God! When you hear it, it's like, yep, that's Rochester.
Well, you can't take the Rochester out of me. I'm sorry.
No, nobody's trying to.
I apologize to the Helenius.
No! Helenius. Consta Helenius.
Helenius. Consta Helenius. I apologize to his family. Sam Darnold, we got to pay off the tease there.
Yeah. Before we do that quickly, Pete, one of our regulars on X, Buffalo doesn't make the Super Bowl, and here we are talking about name pronunciations on local radio. Rough day in Western New York. You aren't wrong, Peter. This feels like a new low. It feels like a new low. We need to be better. We're the first to raise our hand and say, we need to be better. Consta Smith. Make it easy for us.
Just be Consta.
Sam Darnold is a story, right? Like right now, favored to be the MVP. And we're going to welcome in PJ Glasser here in just a few. We'll get his favorite plays from Sunday's game. But just seeing Darnold kind of make the rounds in the media and getting this shine, being on this stage, on this platform, and recognizing what he has been through as a pro to finally get to this place, I find it to be fascinating. I don't know if it's getting talked about, and I'd say it's getting talked about, but I don't know if it's getting talked about enough. Like the dysfunction that he had to live through with the Jets and then the Panthers.
Well, then even to the point where he's in a reputable organization like the Niners. Like they didn't see it, but could it just be as simple as it took him a while to develop? Like it used to be with quarterbacks mainly, hey, we got to give you 3 years. It's really complicated. And in this day and age, if you don't get it done in 3 years, we're giving up on you. Our fan base won't allow any time for development. To me, it just seems like, all right, late bloomer might not be the right way, but we don't allow for the development of the quarterback position. We think, poof, instantly, come on in and show us some sparks here. And I think there's reasons at the first 2 stops at least. For the Jets, yeah, you could list him. And he goes to Carolina. Good luck with that in Carolina. And then he's a backup in San Francisco. See, that's the interesting part. Like, why didn't the Niners kind of do a little bit more? Why did the Vikings, after a 14-win season, I know why, because the general manager probably said, I gotta validate our pick here and we can reset our cap here.
Right. Yes, the allure of rookie quarterback on the quarterback on the rookie deal. Right. And with Darnold, who's won 28 regular season games in the last 2 seasons, more than any starting NFL quarterback, to be where he is now and to have the self-awareness to recognize, my rookie year, we remember all of it, right? Like, we had so much fun at the expense of Gase, right? Remember when he had mono?
He was so angry that Darnold loses week 1, and this doesn't come out to the meeting, and he's just like, yep, number 14 is out because of mono.
Doesn't even call him by name. 14 has mono. And then there's a graphic, Sam Darnold out with mono, and the pointing at the camera and the whole thing, and everything that could have gone wrong for him with the Jets. I mean, he was always just put in a bad light, in a bad position, of seeing ghosts, right?
That was audio from, hey, we're miking up a player. And sometimes you get mic'd up, you forget, honestly, that the mic is on you. Now the NFL, teams won't allow audio to get out there that would paint their player in a bad light like that, but they're playing the Patriots. And he goes over and he says, I'm seeing ghosts. And people, it's common lingo, I guess, in the NFL. I don't know what I'm seeing out there, but we hear it. It's like, oh my gosh,
he's lost. This punchline. Yeah, he's absolutely lost. And then you think, well, this guy's a bust. And here he is. And now, that said, you're right about development, and some guys take a little bit longer than others. There are also guys where I'm just like, there's no developing that guy. That guy's not good. But, think about going into this upcoming season. If Malik Willis gets a chance to compete for a starting role,
he's kind of be viewed as, okay, this would be the guy you would want if you want a bridge quarterback, right?
Right. And Geno Smith was invisible and backing up, and he had a couple of good years as a starting quarterback.
But Malik Willis is interesting because when he was drafted, from Liberty, I remember this. Liberty, they compared it to a high school offense.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, if you draft this guy, you've got to give yourself 2 years. Did that happen in Tennessee? No, it did not. He falls to the 3rd round. The Titans give up on him.
You also had a coach who didn't want to draft him. Vrabel didn't want Malik Willis.
Right.
And that, I think, is part of the equation, too. There is a love and a commitment that the organization and the staff has to make. If you believe Sam Darnold is your guy, you've got to surround him with the love and the support that he needs to be the guy. And clearly the Jets didn't do it. Carolina didn't do it. And I don't know how the player carries himself off the field. That it's a two-way street, right?
Sure. Danger. If you and I look back at some of the decisions we made professionally when we were 22.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. We expect these guys to be all buttoned up.
Right. But we'll use Josh Allen since he's closest in proximity. He's everything you would want your franchise quarterback to be. He speaks well to the media. He works the room. He appears gracious and lighthearted and fun.
He's a great teammate.
Stays out of trouble. Everything that you would want, he's got it. And, I think that comes with a lot of coaching. I think that comes with a lot of support. I think it comes with a lot of love from the organization. Not a resentment we invested a 2nd-round pick and you can't even get on the field because you have mono. Come on. Great story. I'm pulling for him. Me and my running shoes. I'll be wearing my Seahawk-colored running shoes on Sunday.
Where are you grilling up on Sunday?
Haven't decided yet. Sister-in-law is bringing over mac and cheese, which makes pulled pork feel like a possibility.
That's what we're doing, actually.
A little pulled pork mac and cheese might be a possibility. Throw that in the smoker early and hope that we have it ready for kickoff, or maybe even start it in the middle of the night. Start it wake up early, and then let that thing roll all day. Remains to be seen yet, Gino, but we will have a good time for sure, as we always do on Super Bowl Sunday. We go to Radio Row, Northern California, next with our betting expert here in the Sports Bar. PJ Glasser gives us his favorite plays from the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, next on The Fan.
Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills make another coaching hire. The quarterback coach. His name is Bo Hardegree. With more, here's Steve Tasker.
Bo Hardegree, he was with the Raiders for a hot minute under Josh McDaniel, who was head coach of the Raiders for a minute, and Hardegree took over play calling during the rest of that Raiders season after Josh McDaniel got let go.
We will go out to San Francisco. Our betting expert, PJ Glasser, joining us from Radio Row, coming up next year in the Sports Bar. Hockey tonight in Flower City. The Amherst Game 5 of the 6-game homestand. Belleville is the opponent. Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call here on the Fan beginning at 7 o'clock. The Rangers trading Artemi Panarin to the LA Kings. This for a third-rounder and a prospect. The Dallas Mavericks sending Anthony Davis to Washington as part of an 8-player trade. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We go to San Francisco, where the Sports Bar betting expert, PJ Glasser, is at Radio Row. Big game on Sunday, PJ. Always love having you here in the Sports Bar. Thanks for making time for us, pulling yourself away from, I'm sure, the long list of former athletes and celebrities and pitchmen that are ready to talk to you and everybody else there on Radio Row. Let's get some winners for Sunday. What do you say?
Let's do it, guys. Happy to be on with you. And I was hoping that I would run into Bo Hardegree, but unfortunately, I have not seen him out here.
BJ, we get the line really hasn't done all that much, so let's just kind of start with the basics here. Seattle 4.5 they're giving, over under 45.5. I mean, that's the starting point. I guess we want to put together a knockout parlay here. So the Super Bowl here, how do you view this?
So the game opened up 3.5, right? After Seattle beat the Rams, that was the opening line. Immediately got bet actually up to 5.5, you guys, at some spots. And then, after kind of we get to Monday into Tuesday after the championship games, it settles at 4.5. And like you said, Gene, it's pretty much been there up until right now. So I think this is the number we're probably going to get up until kickoff. I don't see it moving. I like the Patriots at this number to cover. I don't know if they win the game, but for me, the two big factors I keep coming back to are Vrabel as an underdog playing that card and him getting to tell his team all week and the players knowing that everybody's just talking about how easy their schedule has been all year. And it's been easy. That's just the facts, about how favorable their draw has been regular season, some of the breaks they've gotten in the postseason, but they're still in the Super Bowl and they're 60 minutes away from hosting a Lombardi. So even though maybe they're not necessarily deserving, they're still in the game, I think that's going to help them. And the Sam Darnold narrative to me is so interesting, guys, right? Because coming into the playoffs, not a lot of people were maybe picking Seattle as probably they should because of the quarterback. We know the defense is elite. JSN's a top receiver, good running backs, good head coach, but none of us had ever seen Darnold do it on a big stage. So people were a little shy to maybe bet Seattle to win the NFC, win the Super Bowl. And now after 2 games at home as a favorite, all of a sudden now people are they're buying into Seattle and now they're trusting Darnold. So you guys know how I tend to like to bet, how I like to think. And when people think one thing and just after a couple results, it seems to sway everybody's mind. That's why I keep coming back to New England. Now, I think Seattle's better, and I think they probably win a close game, but I'll take the 4.5 with New England.
Are there any other trends or stats that you've dug up on this matchup? I saw one cross my feed, PJ. I guess if you're Mike Vrabel, this one's a little discouraging. No coach has ever taken a losing team to the Super Bowl the next and won it in his first year as head coach.
Oh, that is a good one. Two trends I like for the Super Bowl. The first one is a player and maybe a prop to target. That's Travion Henderson. So Seattle this season, they played in 19 games. The second running back, right? So obviously Ramondre is the lead back. Henderson's the second guy. The second running back against Seattle this year has gone over his receiving prop in 17 of the 19 games against Seattle. And I think the reason that is because their run defense is so stout, and usually they're winning in these games. So the game script, you get the passing back in there, you're trailing. The guy's receiving prop is a low number. He goes over it. So I like Henderson in this game for the receiving numbers. I think that could be a look. And then the other trend that I like is Mike McDonald as a coach in the playoffs. He's coached in 4 games, 2 as Seattle's head coach, 2 as Baltimore's defensive coordinator. His defense has pitched a shutout in 3 of the 4 games in the second half, right? So the Rams game last week was the first time that his defense had ever given up points in the second half. He's tremendous at adjusting in the second half, and with him getting 2 weeks to prep for this game, again, I think it's going to be low scoring, you guys. I think it's going to be a struggle, but keep an eye out. Maybe if there is some scoring in that first half, it could slow down and maybe target either a New England team total under in the second half or just bet in the second half under.
Yeah, we're talking to PJ Glasser, and to your point about taking New England the points, and you would think, 4.5, that's not a lot. In Super Bowl history, yeah, actually it is. Since 2000, PJ, favorites of 4.5 points or more are 1-10 against the spread.
Crazy. And I think, Gene, the reason for a lot of that is because usually one of the big advantages in the Super Bowl is if you have a matchup where you have the quarterback head coach combo that has been to a Super Bowl before playing against first timers, right? So if the Rams would have won this game and it was Stafford McVay who already won a Super Bowl, been to a Super Bowl together, they were going up against New England with May and Vrabel who are getting their first taste as a coach and a player, that would have been a huge advantage for the Rams. But in this game, because you obviously have both quarterbacks, it's their first Super Bowl, both coaches, it's their first Super Bowl, there's really no advantage that way. And because we've kind of gotten that in the last few Super Bowls here, or when we've had this big a number of an underdog, I think that's why you've kind of seen that trend happen the way it is, because even though teams go through bye weeks throughout the regular season, guys, we know the Super Bowl is such a different animal with all the media you're doing and all the requests and the fact that it's the Super Bowl halftime show and it's so much longer than you're used to. I mean, all these things play a factor, and I think the teams that have been there before handle it so much better, and that's why they usually fare better in these games. But what I think makes this game really intriguing is the fact that you got a lot of new on both rosters getting their first taste at the Super Bowl, either as coaches or players.
And the strength of both of these teams on the defensive side of the ball, the over-under at 45.5. Do you see this being low scoring, or could that trend get bucked and you could see these offenses getting their way? The Drake May injury also makes me a little bit nervous going into Sunday.
Yeah, no, as I told you guys, I like the under, right? I just talked about the second half stat with McDonald, but you're getting 2 defensive head coaches, 2 good defenses, 2 of the best run defenses in football. When Milt Williams has been available for the Patriots, they've been one of the best run defenses in football. Seattle, we know how great their defense is. And I think both teams are going to be cautious, because that's Vrabel and McDonald. That's their MO. Like, that's what they want to be. They're defensive guys. They want to trust that side of the ball. And with May obviously being a younger guy, I think Vrabel, he doesn't want to make that big mistake. Obviously, that's been a problem for May going up against good teams or in big games, putting the ball on the ground. He's throwing interceptions. And then same thing if you're Seattle, like you're a favorite in this game. You don't want to give New England life. You don't want to get him off to a hot start. So a lot of people are betting the over because it's the last game of the year. They want to root for points. You got two good offenses right now and all those sorts of things. But I kind of think it's a first to 20 type game, Danger. So I like the under.
PJ Glasser from Radio Row, our betting expert, joining us here in the Sports Bar. It's something we can't put in a parlay, PJ, like the Super Bowl MVP, but I think it's fun to kind of discuss, right? And if it's going to be a low-scoring game, is there something to be said, perhaps, for maybe taking the running backs? Your thoughts on the MVP? Is there any value in this prop at all?
I haven't made an MVP bet yet. If I were, Gene, I'd almost even go crazier. Like, not even bet the running backs. I'd look at some defensive players, like maybe target a Christian Gonzalez on New England, target a Nick Umanori on Seattle, or a Tariq Woolen or somebody like that. If the game goes as I think it might, where it's low scoring and, the quarterbacks aren't making a lot of plays and the running backs are struggling a little bit, I think betting maybe some of those defensive players to win MVP at just insane prices. If you want to look into that market, that might be the way to go.
All right, very good. God, I think of a guy like Witherspoon, like a pick six from Witherspoon that tilts everything.
Exactly.
Whoa, that would be big. PJ Glasser joining us from Radio Row. What have we missed here, PJ? Is there anything, in New York State, they don't let us bet on the fun little prop bets, and I don't know how prevalent those are in other states as far as the Blue Gatorade or how long the national anthem is. Are any of those, are you able to play any of those, and do you have any thoughts on anything outside of the game? Is there anything else around Sunday that we've missed?
So because I'm out in California, and you obviously can't bet on the apps out here, when I get back to D.C., what I'm going to look for, I always love some of these sportsbook you guys drop the cross-sport parlays. So you can get crazy. It might be like Alex Ovechkin shots on goal or Jason Myers field goals made. Like those insane type things, which I just love. So I like playing some of those. I also haven't seen this market. I bet it last year with Mahomes. But if you're able to find Drake May over fourth quarter rushing yards, I think that's one of my favorite props. And I don't know what the number is. I haven't really looked into it. But again, just kind of thinking about how the game could play out or maybe ways I want to bet it. I just look at that game. And again, if New England's trailing, then maybe May takes off and makes some plays with his legs. Or if they're winning, they could use his legs to try and seal the game when they're loading up on the run game. So a couple different things. That's kind of how all the big plays he's kind of made in the postseason, you guys, have been with his legs for the most part. So the fourth quarter rushing angle, I took it with Mahomes last year. It hit. I really like that bet. And I'm sure they're offering it somewhere with Drake May. That would be another prop if you're able to bet that I would look at.
Yeah, PJ, let us live vicariously through you. What is it like there on Radio Row? Like, I picture, are you bumping into celebrities? Do you get starstruck? Give us kind of a sense of what the atmosphere there is like.
Yeah, there's certainly a couple guys I get starstruck by for sure. It's the best way I can describe it is it's just organized chaos. It's in a convention center. It's in one of the ballrooms, and on the outside are just all the big sets, right? So you got McAfee over there and NBC Sports and Kay Adams Show and Sirius XM and all those types of people. And then in the middle, it's just they organize it with all these radio stations from all over the country. And you're just walking on the outside, on the inside, and, you don't go 10 seconds without recognizing either a player or somebody that we all see on TV. So, Jamar Chase I've seen today, Jonathan Taylor I've seen today, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson has been here, Jordan Love, whole bunch of people. So Wednesday is when it usually really starts to ramp up. Thursday and Friday are crazy days, too, as we start to get close to the Super Bowl. It's a madhouse in here. I did see your boy Deion Dawkins. He was walking around today, so I was able to see him as well.
Who's been your favorite conversation so far?
Favorite conversation so far, just catching up. What's funny, guys, is doing the shows that I would do. I would interact with people for 3 or 4 years, and I've never been able to meet them in person.
Yeah.
So my favorite conversations have just been talking to people in person that I've talked with on the airwaves for 3 or 4 years.
Someday, PJ, someday. It could be us. Someday. Maybe.
I hope so. I hope so. I'll meet you guys soon. When's Oak Hill hosting the next PGA? What's the big event we got coming out there? Did they put you on the book?
Right?
35.
35.
But we have the U.S. Amateur in 28.
28. Okay. I just found this out today. They're publicizing it at the Super Bowl. The NFL draft is in D.C. next year, 2020. I had no idea.
Oh.
So if you guys want to make a trip, I'm sure I'll definitely be at that as well.
Will you go to Pittsburgh this year?
No, I can't go to that city, Danger. It's too much Raven in me, unfortunately.
Wow.
Too much. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you could go across the country to San Francisco. Pittsburgh, no.
Pittsburgh's icky.
No,
Can't do it. It's so great.
No, they won't allow him in there, I think. That's great.
Derrick Henry was walking around today, you guys, and 5 different people told me about it. We graduated Alabama together, and obviously being a Ravens guy, that's the one guy I really wanted to see. And you can't miss him. He's obviously like a brick house, and I couldn't find him. I was walking all over the place. So maybe I'll run into Derrick tomorrow, hopefully.
PJ, I tell Danger this, and I tell everybody, if they're down about the cold weather, turn on golf. You get the Phoenix Open. All right. Here we are. Do you have a thought on, this atmosphere and this field that'll tee you off tomorrow?
So this is one of those events where you definitely want to bet the winner without Scotty Scheffler, because in his last event he won. Surprise, surprise. And this is like his best course, one of his best courses. So he's unbelievable at TPC Scottsdale. If you're betting in the without market, though, I'd look at Sahith Theegala. This is the tournament where he burst onto the scene about 3-4 years ago, and he's been really good in it ever since. So Sahith is always a guy when this tournament comes around that I look to target. But it's a great course, and usually a lot of the big names tend to play pretty well in this. Matsuyama's a guy that plays well. Schauffele's a guy that plays well in this tournament. So, look, I know in golf, we're all looking to hit that big winner, roll that money over into the Super Bowl, which is starting right after it ends. But I think this could be a chalky week. So maybe just bet Scotty at a short price, get yourself some plus money. But I would bet in the without market, and I'd look at Theegala. I think he could be good this week.
Any college basketball plays that you like tonight, PJ?
No college hoops tonight, you guys. I haven't really looked at the card too much because I've been obviously at the Super Bowl. But, yeah, I know Bama plays Texas A&M tonight. And obviously as a Bama fan, I'm looking forward to that. But also A&M's like the best story right now in the SEC. They're 7-1. They got a first-year head coach in Bucky McMillan. But they're also like a team that really doesn't have like a signature win. They haven't really beaten like a projected 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed. So I'm interested to see how they look today. But guys, I keep looking at my phone and like these college hoops games start at 4:00 and later. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. West Coast sports. These people are so spoiled because all of us back in the East, especially Sunday night, Monday night. We got to stay up, as you guys know, to 11:30. If it goes to overtime, midnight to watch these games. These games start at 4:00 out here. That is it's unbelievable.
And they still don't have the work ethic that you have, PJ. All those people on the West Coast, they just dragging around, walking around leisurely. They don't have the pace. They don't have the tempo. They don't have the energy of the great PJ Glasser, who's joining us here. By the way, when you do see Derrick Henry, are people going to stop you thinking that you guys are twin brothers since you both graduated from Alabama together?
That's the plan. I'm gonna hope so. They might think he's a little bit older than me just because he's a little bit bigger, but we'll see. Real quick before we go, I haven't talked to you guys since the Joe Brady news. Do we like the hire? How are we feeling about that?
It's funny. Like most people were like, that was kind of the reaction, but then we think back, that was exactly the reaction when the Bills hired McDermott too. So the thing that has people excited, Jim Leonard coming to Buffalo, and I know the Ravens were in on Jim Leonard there too.
They were. Look, I loved Leonard as a player. I loved watching him. I thought he was a great defense coordinator at Wisconsin, and then he's obviously with Denver this past season. But I think Leonard was a really good hire. So the AFC, you guys, next year, it's just crazy that the Ravens, Steelers, and Bills job all opened up in the same offseason. We'll see if the Chiefs bounce back for next year, and now we got to worry about those stinking Patriots because they just can never be gone, and they just come back to relevancy. But AFC going to be super interesting next year for sure.
Enjoy Sunday, PJ. Safe travels. Thanks as always for making time for us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where we can get more of your work.
Yeah, guys. So obviously Super Bowl on Sunday, and then after that, everybody starts paying attention to college hoops and March Madness. So I'm putting out some college basketball content. You can check it out on my YouTube channel, PJ Glasser, called Hoops in 5. I drop a couple videos every single week. So make sure you check that out on YouTube. You can follow me on X at PJ Glasser 9 and on my TikTok at PJ Glasser as well.
PJ, you're the best. Let's do this again soon. Appreciate
Absolutely. It. Thanks, fellas. Enjoy the game Sunday.
You got it. PJ Glasser, that's a sports bar betting expert, giving us his favorite plays for Sunday's action.
Yeah, and it's not just all Super Bowl. Like, you got to watch a little Phoenix Open this week, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about famous holes, like, you have Amen Corner, the Masters, and you have the TPC. Where would you put 16 at TPC Scottsdale? This is the one where they have the grandstands towering over you, nearly 20,000, just kind of over the top, just cheering like it's a football game.
It's a rock concert.
It's a par 3.
Yeah, it's a rock concert. I have friends that I graduated high school with, high school sweethearts that married each other, went to school together, moved down to Arizona. They're down there now, and this is their big thing. They also have a golf apparel company. They make hats and golf wear.
Oh.
And so this is a big week for them. And I know one of these years, Gino, I'm going to say, because they're always like, hey, come to Arizona, I'm like, I might be more of a Florida guy. It's a little bit easier from where we are to get to Florida than it is Arizona.
Some people will just swear by Arizona.
I think the Midwest Arizona. I think the East Coast, Florida, right? Like that's the alignment.
Well, it's also look at how baseball kind of organizes things too.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But one of these years, I think I'm going to take them up, and that would be a fun event to go to. You know, obviously a different feel than what we are used to here when we host at Oak Hill, but still, you know, being there in the desert at that golf course in that scene, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And by all means, going to check that out this weekend as well as the big game coming up on Sunday night. Happy Hour is next on the Fan Rochester. So many things to get to.
I mean, me screwing up a player's pronunciation isn't like the top, and I wasn't alone on this.
We could readdress. We don't bring that back.
No.
We could also. I mean, there's a lot to unpack for Paul Hamilton.
Let's move on.
Yeah. The Sabres. You know, they have that young forward, Constantinius. That Helenus. We'll get to happy hour next. We have plenty of time for your calls if you want to join us as well. 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
At the Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Hockey night in the Flower City as the Amerks taking on Belleville. It's game 5 of the 6-game homestand for Rochester. Amerks looking to make it 2 in a row. Don and Andrew will be by at 7 o'clock with the coverage here on The Fan. The Rangers today trading Artemi Panarin. Goes to the LA Kings for a third-rounder and a prospect. Buffalo Bills making a new coaching hire today. Bo Hardigree. With more, here's Chris Brown.
The Bills are hiring Tennessee quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree as their new quarterbacks coach. So he obviously worked with Cam Ward in his rookie season with the Titans this past year. Hardigree is entering his 13th season as an assistant coach in the NFL. Bounced around, been with a bunch of different teams.
The NBA trade deadline is tomorrow. A couple moves today. The Dallas Mavericks send Anthony Davis to Washington. Chris Paul goes to Toronto. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amerks. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome to Happy Hour, and thanks for joining us in the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Thanks for watching the Sports Bar on our YouTube channel or Twitch stream. You can follow us and subscribe at The Fan Rochester. And, of course, you can always find us in the free-to-download Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
You know, NASCAR, they call it silly season when all these rumors kind of go around, like so-and-so. Well, is it silly season here in the NFL? Because inevitably, there's some veteran who's unhappy, and would your favorite team be interested? Discuss. And sometimes these stories get planted for a reason, Danger. Reason being, hey, we're all waiting for the Super Bowl. Let's talk about something else. And there is a big-time defensive player that I look at his contract, and yes, he just got it redone, but there's not a lot of years on this. He could get a pay raise, or maybe, just maybe, he wants to get moved. As Jay Glazer is reporting that Max Crosby's time with the Raiders is most likely done.
Okay, so I know immediately Bills fans view that and say, yes, sign me up. Bring Max Crosby here. We need an elite pass rusher on this defense. Let's get Max Crosby. And I would say be prepared to have your heart broken, because I also saw in my feed somebody report that Max Crosby loves Mike Vrabel, would love to play for Mike Vrabel someday.
Well, that's the shortcut, right? Meaning, hey, for the Bills or any other team that really doesn't have a lot of cap space, how do you make this work? Well, first of all, you got to clear some cap space. We're not even at that point. But the Patriots, they're ahead of schedule. That's what sucks about this. They weren't supposed to be in the Super Bowl year 2 of Drake May, which means we're still 2 years away from that guy getting his money. So they can afford something like this, and they don't have to bat an eyelash. So, sure, if his agent wants to say, hey, New England media that's on, out here, or NFL media, this is a good time to kind of drop that right now.
If things go poorly for you on Sunday, don't worry. Max Crosby is going to be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Now, can I just fantasize what he would mean for that Bills defense? Not only is he an elite pass rusher, but who on this Bills defense has that sort of edge?
The motor.
The guy that, I'm going to get in other guys' faces, and maybe every once in a while I'm going to get 15 yards, but that's because I'm mean, and you don't want to cross my path.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of those guys. A lot of process guys.
Yeah.
A lot of process guys.
Yeah, that would be a cultural.
Good football players. You think Terry Pagula steps in and says, we can't go for that guy. Too many tattoos.
I don't know. You say Pagula. Was it McDermott?
I don't know. I don't know. I imagine from above, it's not good for business if you're Mr. P and you got players getting arrested or players who look a certain way or act a certain way or play a certain way.
The Bills have this power of just making you look past that. See LaShawn McCoy, see Von Miller. Bob Miller was suspended by the league for 4 games.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He made some really bad choices off the field. Same with LaShawn. I don't want to say that it was just McDermott or it's just Pagula. Maybe it's a combination of both. But a good football player that can help you win games, if you believe what they say, is somebody they should be interested in. I just don't know how they make it work. Whereas a team like New England, a team with a coach that he wants to play for, feels like that would be a pretty easy thing to be able to swing if you wanted to do that. Doesn't even know who his coach is going to be yet. You assume it's going to be Kubiak, right? That's all that's left. So it'll be Kubiak after the Super Bowl, and he's already made up his mind. Every year we get this, right? And this is also a way for them to get some more money, right? Some more value.
And it was a year to the day. How do I remember it's a year to the day? I'll tell you how. I remember we're doing a show talking about Josh Allen winning the MVP. And the MVP secret last year, it kind of came out. You saw the betting market. All of a sudden, Josh Allen became this heavy favorite. Like, wow, he's going to win the MVP. Can't wait to watch this tonight. And then the other story was that Myles Garrett basically saying his goodbye to Cleveland. And he's on Radio Row, and he's making it be known. What ended up happening? Well, the Browns gave him a new contract, and was the ultimate goal.
My anticipation expectation is that he'll have a direct ticket from Cleveland to Canton at the end of this year, and expect him to be here, and retire Brown, quite frankly.
Andrew Berry, the GM there in Cleveland.
Well, he was right.
But he got his money.
Did you see the Monken quote from his press conference? Fascinating. Because technically, Jim Schwartz is still on the staff.
Yeah.
And everybody's digging about Schwartz. And then Monken goes out of his way. He's like, when I was preparing for the Browns defense, I was chipping Myles Garrett. I wasn't chipping Jim Schwartz. Okay, I guess Jim Schwartz is not staying in Cleveland. I guess there's not going to be anybody making nice there.
Yeah, you got the sense that because he got passed over that was it. He said his goodbyes, but he is still under contract. So what? He doesn't show up and doesn't get paid? Forfeits that?
Well, this is very Browns, right? You would figure, okay, let's negotiate something out, right? Or we'll get compensation, maybe even.
How
better
does
yet.
that communication fall apart? Are you just not being forthright with your candidates and telling them during that process? I mean, you don't owe them anything. You don't have to tell them it's you and another guy, but we hope it's you, or we're leaning that you don't
unless the owner really gave him an idea that you're going to be the guy, and he starts making plans and he's not the guy.
And now you're going to hold him and prevent him from going elsewhere because he's under contract. And if the expectation is he's going to be your defensive coordinator again, even though he's bitter and angry at the organization for not promoting him,
I think it's just bad business.
It's
at this point.
weird.
Yeah,
it's a bad spot. It's a bad spot for everybody. Well, that's interesting about Crosby. And I know a lot of Bills fans be like, yeah. Let's go. Be prepared to have your heart broken if he ends up playing for New England in 2026. I'm not going to like it. You're not going to like it. But this is now the path. We're going to have to find a way. The Bills are going to have to find a way to get over on New England again. We thought we did it. We thought we were over that.
Mm-hmm.
And a nice little run there for a few years. Tomorrow on the show, we go back to Radio Row, and we talk to our buddy Fitzy from WEEI in Boston. And I wonder if his tone changes. He's always been pretty level and fair with his Patriots fan. He's not arrogant Pats fan. I think he's self-aware and will make fun of the Pats just like he'd make fun of the Bills. But what Fitzy are we getting tomorrow?
I'm just looking for his text right now. This was last week. He was a little arrogant. Yeah, that's the Boston arrogance that you would come to expect. But we love him because, honestly, name me somebody in the sports media that is as funny as Fitzy.
Take of the year winner.
Yeah.
In 2025.
Jordan.
The child bride, Jordan Hudson.
It's all there. Tomorrow also, something that's going to come up. That's tomorrow morning. They're going to introduce the coordinators. So Joe Brady will be out there, Pete Carmichael Jr., and you'll have the special teams coordinator as well as Jim Leonard. So yeah, what do we hope to kind of learn tomorrow? I don't know exactly what they can tell you, because the questions I would have for Jim Leonard is, tell me about the personnel, and he probably can't exactly describe how he's going to employ this personnel, who might fit and who wouldn't. So
we had Paul Hamilton from WGR join us in the 3 o'clock hour, recapping the Florida trip of the Buffalo Sabres. They get 3 of 4 points in 2 nights in Sunrise and in Tampa, falling in overtime last night to the Lightning before heading to actually hosting Pittsburgh coming up tomorrow night before the Olympic break. And if you missed that conversation, it's worth your time. You can check it out wherever you get your shows. Yeah, the Sports Bar is a podcast. Just search the Sports Bar. It includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows.
He brought up, like, what could the Sabres use? We haven't had this discussion since you and I have been doing this show. Sabres buyers at the trade deadline. What planet do we live on here? Face-offs. And knowing that, that would be kind of key. And this is something that our guys, WGR, threw out there. Would you bring back Ryan O'Reilly? Fantastic on face-offs, power play. When I'm hearing Paul say face-offs and a center on the power play,
I've lost track. Where's Ryan O'Reilly?
He's
today?
in Nashville now.
Oh, he's still there. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a $4.5 million contract. He's got 1 year left after this. If you forgot,
he's lost his love of the game. I'm not really sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, could you actually bring him back? I've lost my love of the game. No, get me out of here.
Yeah. I don't know. A guy that's lost his love of the game, you really want that guy in your locker room? Some pretty interesting truth bombs from Paul Hamilton, including the Alex Tuck saga.
No, anybody, I think the noise, this isn't us locally. This is Cervelli and other national guys up in Canada, discussing the Sabres should be, because Alex Tuck is on an expiring contract. The Sabres should move him. The answer is no. So what? You want a motivated Alex Tuck here. And by the way, he's a leader for this team. And also, he grew up in Syracuse, in case you didn't know. He loved the Sabres as a kid. This is exactly the guy you would want, because you haven't gotten a deal done, and he might head to free agency. It's not to say you can't re-sign him. I would run that risk and let him walk if he decides that he has a better opportunity elsewhere. But why would you even entertain that right now?
Well, because you won't get anything in return if you let him walk.
I don't care.
If you get a cup, it doesn't matter.
I don't exactly.
Right.
To hear Alex Tuck say, "Hey, we're not squeaking in. We want to go for the cup." Whoa. Wow.
And they were competitive last night. They hung. Tampa is a more talented team. They are. When you watch Tampa play, it's like, oh God, they're back.
Well, and it's Gensel in overtime.
Yeah,
it's a goal with 26 seconds with the extra attacker.
Kucherov, just a perfectly placed pass. They're just good. They just got really good players.
But back to the Sabres. The reason to believe is there's only one team in the league right now with 3 defensemen with 10 goals or more.
Buffalo Sabres.
Matthias Samuelsson, somebody that, burst on the scene and then kind of fell back, and now he's as confident as ever. Dahlin and Byram being the other 2 guys. Mm-hmm. And the way that Dahlin is a fascinating human interest story. I mean, I feel really bad for what, his family's going through, but how an athlete can just kind of go out there, play the best hockey of his career, while this, you could say tragedy, lost their kid. His wife dealing with her health issues, soon to be wife.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know how you kind of compartmentalize that, but Dahlin's doing a fine job. Had a terrible giveaway last night, though.
We have Amerks hockey tonight. Hockey night in the Flower City, Blue Cross Arena. Belleville, the opponent. You can hear the action on the Fan Rochester. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock with Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks. Game 5 of their 6-game homestand. They wrap that up on Friday night as well. Another game you'll hear on the Fan.
Yeah, Gianta and Leggio will be there. It's Olympic night coming up on Friday because, we had curling today. Wait a second. This is actually a thing. We are already – that always kind of hey, the opening ceremonies are Friday, but you know what? We've got to start some of these events right now. So we're going to have some some hockey tomorrow.
Can I be honest with you? Earlier this afternoon, normally here in the sports bar, we just kind of keep ESPN on.
That's what you were doing.
I was looking for curling. I was seeking out anything Olympic related. I wanted curling. Couldn't find it. So we don't have the Peacock app in the studio.
No.
But I imagine if you needed to find some curling, you could probably find some. I would be in on that. Like, yeah, let's just put it on. Leave it on in the background.
Did you ever do that growing up in Minnesota?
I never did curling.
What?
Never did curling. I remember there was a curling club, and I remember we'd always drive by the curling club, and I never knew what it was as a kid. And then I saw it on TV, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. And, let's face it, what it was just an opportunity in the wintertime for friends to get together, drink, and throw stones.
I don't think they drink in the Olympics.
They drink while they're training. Not in the Olympics. They probably keep it clean. But while they're training, they're drinking beers.
Is it accurate to say that's nothing more than botch on ice?
Oh, I feel like that's fair. I mean, you don't have brooms. You're not sweeping the lawn when you're playing botch.
No.
But, same premise. Same level of skill. I can't wait. And then, of course, everything comes to a head this weekend with the Super Bowl on Sunday night. God, now you got me thinking, like, what is the menu? In the past, we've done themed based on the teams that are in there. I don't want to do a clam chowder. I don't want to do a salmon.
Yeah. No. This should be the day that, okay, I'm going to let myself have one day where I can eat what I like.
How heavy on the apps do you go? Do you go
as heavy as you like?
Go mozzarella sticks, chicken wings, go just go nuts. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for the pizza logs and anything.
Ooh, pizza logs. Yeah. Little marinara sauce, dip that in there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm already seeing the future. I see Monday. Danger coming in.
Oh, I'm not alone. I won't be the only one. Believe me.
Oh, I'll be like that too, yeah.
I don't know that you will be, but I know a lot of people will be. And that's a combination of overdoing it, but also, oh, man, it's over. Don't you get that feeling every year?
Fourth quarter, it's
man, it's over.
Well, to me, it already feels that way. I feel like we've moved on to hockey season. I feel like, okay, NBA trade deadline, sure, we can talk about that. Pitchers and catchers next week. Phoenix Open. NFL offseason. That's where we are right now. I have no excitement for this game. I'm supposed to be here saying, you know what? Here's what I think. I think the Patriots are going to win outright. I just have no desire to watch either of these teams, in particular New England, and to see Steph Diggs up there in an area where we've had to deal with Hasek and O'Reilly and Jack Eichel. Marshawn Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this would be the worst, right? Of all of them to see Diggs, that divorce that happened between Buffalo?
Yeah. I think Eichel hurts more, in my opinion.
Because that was the promise.
Yeah. You gave up a lot. You killed your culture for that guy. You made it known we're losing for that guy.
Actually, they killed their culture thinking they were going to get Connor McDavid,
right.
And then this is that's not a bad consolation prize.
Yeah. And he's good. He's a good hockey player, right? Like let's not mince words. He goes there and he wins it. In his first year there, right? Was his first year there?
Yeah.
That stings. And with Diggs, I know a lot of people think, it didn't end well with Diggs and McDermott, but I think that's all it was. I think it was a Diggs and McDermott. Like, I honestly believe Diggs doesn't feel negative feelings towards Josh Allen or other players on the team or even the team or the city. I just think it's my time to go. I'm going, and that will be that. And I still say it, bad guy, but I miss that player. I miss a guy that runs routes the way Diggs does. I miss a guy who has separation the way he has separation.
And on third down, where does Josh Allen go with the football now? You knew like you had to account for Diggs. And the Bills are great. Don't get me wrong, their offense, but if you could just kind of add that, and that's kind of the hope, right? That you'll find somebody that can be that number one.
Bo Hardigree is the new Buffalo Bills quarterbacks coach, former Tennessee Titans quarterbacks coach. He was an interim play caller each of the last couple of seasons. he was with the Raiders in 2024 when Luke Getsy got gassed midway through the season. He took over play calling there. And last season, when then Tennessee head coach Brian Callahan lost his job, he called plays for the Titans as well. So now you have another member of your coaching staff for Joe Brady. No word on what the future holds for Ronald Curry, former quarterback coach in Buffalo.
So if there is a coaching equivalent to Nate Peterman, meaning, the former Bills quarterback, like, why are you still in this league? This is hilarious. What is it? And you always said, oh, man, he has a musk. That other coach.
Peterman probably in a room with coaches probably says all the right things and makes every coach just fall in love with him because he knows what buttons to push and how to say the right thing that every coach wants to hear.
So if you had to say who is the Nate Peterman of assistant coaches, I'm going to bring you a name that Doug Marrone brought in from Syracuse, and he became the Bills' offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Now, why am I bringing his name up today? Well, it was last week he accepted the quarterback coach job in Miami, which I'm sure that's going to be 2 thumbs up for Tua, right? That's good. Oh, wait. No, that's not happening.
Oh.
Nathaniel Hackett got hired today in Arizona as their offensive coordinator.
Oh, boy.
Like, for anybody that says, oh, I don't know about Joe Brady, the idea that these guys get recycled, the cronyism when it comes to coaching in the NFL danger.
Well, Mike McDaniel just, checked the references, called his brother up, and his brother said, yeah, he was fine when he was here. I still call the plays.
Oh, LaFleur, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Did I say McMike? What did I say?
McDaniel's the coach.
I'm sorry. No. I'm talking LaFleur, yes. So Mike LaFleur calls Matt LaFleur, and you've got an instant reference there. And by the way, am I allowed to now speculate? Could Aaron Rodgers go play for a season in Arizona? Hey, we need somebody in here that can push Kyler out the door. Can you get us Rodgers for a season?
I would imagine there's spots, remote places in Arizona where Aaron Rodgers will go be in some sort of hut.
Bury your head in the sand, get high, and just live your life, pal.
Yeah, he might be doing that now.
Get lit. I don't know. I feel like Nathaniel Hackett was only hired in Denver for the promise of being able to get Aaron Rodgers, which never materialized.
Nathaniel Hackett was the guy that Sean Payton called the worst head coach in NFL history.
Just killed him.
Like, that's
what a job he did here. I'm still cleaning up the mess from the last guy that was here.
Which is as much of an a-hole Sean Payton is. Don't you have to chuckle at that?
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that he didn't hold back. He just went after another guy. Yeah, he was bad. This is a disaster. What did he leave me? I got to clean all this up. Yuck. So Hackett gets another chance to be an OC. Hey, look, that's where we are at this stage of the cycle. Frank Reich is going to the Jets as their offensive coordinator. Like, nobody wants to hire. I don't think it's the first choice to hire the old recycled retread coordinator or coach. All the good ones are gone, including what the Bills did with Leonard, right? Like,
yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out that, hey, you're Aaron Glenn, and I'm making these changes really late, and it might be the owner that's telling you to make these changes so late in the cycle that some good candidates are gone. Not that the good candidates would go to the Jets. Oh, wait, Frank Reich and Aaron Glenn were actually teammates right at the end for the Jets. 30 years ago, Danger.
Wow.
Yeah, the bonds of football.
That's it.
When you're going through things
Not what
together.
you know, but who you know.
I love the story, and now this is being disputed, but it's Marash from WFAN that reported, and you mentioned this yesterday, that, hey, the Jets wanted to bring in Wink Martindale.
You saw this, right?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Okay, that's a good hire, right?
Good. I mean, he's got some NFL coaching experience, good defensive coordinator for the Ravens.
Yeah, and I think, okay, that would at least get you on some solid footing. He makes the offer. Except the ownership says nope.
The owner doesn't sign off on it.
Nope. We hired you to be that guy. We're not paying for that.
We pay you $12 million a year to be the defensive guy. You're calling the plays. We're not paying him that. Wow. Yeah. Hey, if you want to complain about the Bills, you can. There's plenty there to point and laugh at. But recognize that it's as long as the Jets are owned by Woody Johnson, there's always going to be a more dysfunctional team in the NFL.
But you're Frank Reich. I mean, how much do you want to get into the NFL? Like, you want to be the OC? Who's your quarterback? Well,
No idea.
We got Justin Fields, and then look at his tape last year. Well, not much there, and we hope the draft will go our way. 2 thumbs up.
Do you think is there anything about Justin Fields' game in the NFL through this stage of his career where you see him, you watch him, and you think to yourself, well, this isn't a guy that's developed. Once he's going to develop. He's the next Sam Darnold. He's the next Geno Smith. He's the next guy that'll find the right place and flourish.
Well, for 1 week, I thought that. That was week 1 this year against the Steelers. Sitting on watching that game, like, wow, this, and it ended up being the Steelers and Rodgers winning at the end, but Fields is making plays. And then Buffalo comes in and knocks him into next week, and it's not the same for the rest of the year. So Justin Fields, there's something in his game danger.
He doesn't process.
No.
I don't think he knows how to process. And maybe that's something that he can learn, and maybe you don't throw out Justin Fields just yet. But, man, it don't look good. It don't look good.
Frank Reich, the 1 year he was with the Jets, they went 1-15.
God.
He was the backup to Neil O'Donnell.
You want to talk about a fall from grace? Neil O'Donnell starting in the Super Bowl, and then
he gets paid big
15.
time. Yeah,
yikes. We got to get to a round of shots next.
Yeah, a lot of NBA today, including James Harden, where he went like, huh? Really? Well, it's going to kind of alter the Eastern Conference for sure. We've got a Tampa baseball stadium update, but maybe it's not an update. Sabres talking more, and who might be what WNBA player might be breaking new ground here in terms of her appeal.
All right, we will get to a round of shots, and don't forget about last call before we close up shop at 6. If you want to have the final word in the sports bar, we'll listen to it. 866-4326 is our phone number. 585-866-4FAN.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Sports Update.
Bills make a new coaching hire today. Coming to the staff is the new quarterback coach, Bo Hardegree is his name. Steve Tasker with more.
Bo Hardegree, he was with the Raiders for a hot minute under Josh McDaniel, who was head coach of the Raiders for a minute, and Hardegree took over play calling during the rest of that Raiders season after Josh McDaniel got let go.
Hockey tonight in the Flower City as the Belleville Senators, the opponent. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call beginning at 7 here on the Fan Rochester. Trades today in sports. First in the NHL, Artemi Panarin for the Rangers. He gets dealt to the LA Kings. This for only a third-round pick and a prospect. Dallas Mavericks sending Anthony Davis to Washington as part of an 8-player trade. Chris Paul goes to Toronto as part of a 3-team deal. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey's your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
It's happy hour in the Sports Bar. Thanks for joining us on the Fan. You can watch the Sports Bar on the Fan Rochester's YouTube page at the Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. Let's get to a round of shots, Gino.
You know, where do you come down in Radio Row? Because I've seen some people that love this, love hearing the stories in that sort of setting, and then some people say that's not my brand of sports talk. I don't like hearing athletes shill for this product and get to the pitch.
It's funny. I mean, like, you know, everybody that's there is shilling something, and I'm okay with them shilling whatever the product is, provided they're showing up with personality, provided they're showing up with great stories. Like, we had the chance to have Michael Irvin on with us a couple of times, and man, he's telling stories from back in the day that they're priceless.
Yeah. I think there's the quid pro quo. Like, hey, you're going to give us some content, and then we will give you the platform for what it is you're here for.
Right. And part of it is the job of the host. Like, the national guys all know how to extract that kind of content from who they're interviewing, because they're just very good at interviewing, and they're very good at disarming whoever it is that they're talking to and making them feel like they're okay.
I think it's just a very simple thing, too. When you're talking to somebody face-to-face and you can read body language and you can see there's a vibe, it's way different than being on the phone, obviously, even on a Zoom call or something like a lot of that. Like,
Agreed.
there's a different vibe. So I think that's why, for me, Radio Row does work. I'm also bringing this up, too, because you get weird stories like this. Do you remember we had, like, there was 2 competing radio stations in Houston, and you had, like, kind of a fight there at one point. Or was it Houston? It was in Minneapolis, and John McClain of the Houston Chronicle was just kind of sitting there while 2 radio guys are ready to duke it out, which is kind of not good for our industry. This one's a little different. I can't say this is a dust-up what happened today, but these are 2 familiar names in football that got into this heated confrontation. Ready?
Interesting. Okay.
Former quarterback Ryan Leaf.
Very familiar with Ryan Leaf.
And Dr. David Chow.
Oh, Pro Football Doc.
So, the history of this, apparently, this goes back to Leaf's days as a Charger.
Come on.
So, what is that, late 90s? I'm trying to think, when did he, Peyton Manning. Like
98.
Yeah. Okay, so Leaf actually sues Chow at the time when Chow is the team doctor for the Chargers.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that.
So
that was his background.
That's where this goes back. And Leaf sues him. Now, I don't know what happens with this, but I do know that
I just know that when I went to see Dr. Chow, he was very mean to me. He threw me down the stairs and I broke my glasses. It's me, Ryan Leaf. I had some problems. I needed medical assistance. I just want what's fair, so I'm suing him. I'm suing Pro Football Doc. I'm suing Elon Musk. I'm suing everybody.
So there's a few witnesses to this, and this is like in the hallway leading into, this happens early this morning out in San Francisco, where Ryan Leaf goes up to Chow and starts verbally attacking him. And Chow is explaining to him, I've got to go over and do Ross Tucker's podcast. Okay, so everybody's got their agenda.
I'm suing Ross Tucker, too. I don't like him.
So this is in front of everybody. Ryan Leaf goes, F you and F Ross Tucker, and then starts to go after Chow, and then Chow's like, no, I got to get out of here. Now, they caught up with Chow afterward, And he took the high road.
Yeah.
I wish the best for Ryan. I'm not sure why. Over 10 years ago here at Radio Row, I've seen him a dozen of times. This is the first time he's ever said anything to me.
Interesting.
I always wonder about Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, it's fair. I think because he has an addictive personality.
Yeah.
So you wonder, relapse? What's going on here?
I don't know. I hope not, but that's not normal behavior. And
It wasn't Radio Row. Where did we get the Rappaport, Jordan
Combine.
Schultz? That was the Combine?
That was at the Combine at a Starbucks.
Okay, it's coming. We're almost there. Yeah, at a Starbucks, the franchise owned by, or the company owned by Schultz's dad.
Funny thing happens. How powerful is the NFL? Schultz is no longer with. He's on his own. Like, do you think that was like?
Wait, what's Schultz doing now? Wasn't he with Fox?
He was with Fox at the time.
Isn't he not with Fox anymore?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, a couple months afterward, like Fox didn't renew him, so he's still doing his thing, but it's kind of on his own. And the thing about Schultz is, and I give him credit.
We've had him on the show a couple times.
Yeah. And it wasn't until like the second time, like, realize, wait, your dad founded Starbucks?
Yeah. You're doing this because you're just doing it for fun. You love this. You don't need to work.
This?
You don't need to work. I think that's great. I want those are the dust ups I like. I want insider dust ups. I want dust ups between dorks. You know, like those are the
yeah. Well, Rappaport calling NFL security. NFL security.
Oh,
NFL security.
Yeah. I want more of that. When Ryan Leaf is picking on Chow, I mean, Chow is always so even-tempered, and when he's talking about injuries and everything, like he's a doctor, and that's how doctors have been trained to be. He's got bedside manner, and to know that Leaf was going after him and Chow took the high road, that all kind of seems like it checks out.
Yeah, and I'm just, how is there no video of this? I mean, maybe in theory you're walking down a corridor and, you know, only a few people do this and they're not pulling out their phone.
Well, Ross Tucker was trying to take video of me. I took his iPhone, I smashed it over my knee, and I threw it in his face. I'm suing Ross Tucker. I'm suing Dr. David Chow. I'm suing everybody in Radio Row that was witness to this. I was very angry. They were very mean to me. I'm Ryan Leaf, former starting quarterback of the San Diego Chargers, and I've had it. I need new glasses.
You're going to sue Marty Schottenheimer, too?
I'm suing Marty Schottenheimer, Bill Belichick, Roger Goodell, Jim Trotter. Everybody. Jerry Jones, everybody. I'm suing everybody.
Jim Trotter? What did he have to do?
He was there. He was complaining. And I don't like him. He was very mean to me. He cursed me out. He said mean, awful things to me, and it hurt my feelings, and I fell down the stairs.
At 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Ryan Leaf.
It's the NBA trade deadline. The Dallas Mavericks cutting their losses with the Anthony Davis trade. Wow. The center getting shipped to Washington. 8 players involved. The Mavs will receive Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Crazy.
The Wizards also picking up Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum, which, long story short, Dallas just bought themselves a lot of cap space for next year.
And I think to myself, like, what allows you to do this if you're Dallas? Well, you lucked into Cooper Flagg.
That's it.
Amazing.
Yeah, get 1 star and you can reset everything. They don't deserve that. James Harden. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, wait, he wanted to trade off the Clippers. He got his wish.
Of course.
To Cleveland. Now, the Cavs actually sent back a good player, Darius Garland, and a second-round pick going to the Clippers. This is a gamble by Cleveland. Harden's 36.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cleveland Rock City. I see James Harden is now in town, and we're welcoming him on in. Come on in, James. Don't forget there's no sex in the champagne room. And while you're here, say hi to Cinnamon Stage 4. Cinnamon Stage 4.
Garland's 26. Harden and Donovan Mitchell, by the way, now the only teammates to average 25 points, 5 assists a game this season.
Oh, it looks like Donovan Mitchell has joined the party. Donovan Mitchell is here with the newest Cleveland Cavalier, James Harden. Welcome to Cleveland Rock City. And say hi to Jade over on Stage 3. Jade on Stage 3.
I'm not exactly familiar that much with downtown Cleveland. Do they have establishments
I
that
don't
are
know.
within? I went to the Guardians Stadium there, and I didn't see anything.
I've been to Progressive Field, and I've been to the football stadium, and I can tell you that downtown Cleveland has a casino. And for anybody that says Rochester needs a casino downtown, I would like to present to you the Cleveland Downtown Casino as a reason why not to do that. It was sad. It was sad. And that's Cleveland. Cleveland's bigger than we are. Last time I checked.
I'm proud that we said no to that.
Yeah. I mean, look, our downtown needs work. We all agree, right? Like
100%.
But when there is something downtown, Jazz Fest or anything like that, like it's fun. Downtown is I'm not saying it's back or it's coming back, but there are elements of downtown Rochester that are fine, totally fine.
But the promise of the downtown casino is
no. Go to the Cleveland Casino downtown. Let me know what your thoughts are on that, and then imagine that only smaller in our downtown and how that's going to work out for everybody.
The Buffalo Sabres were only 26 seconds away from a 4-point Florida trip.
Oh, that sucks.
Tampa forcing overtime. Then Jake Gensel, my gosh, just breaking out. What a pass. 14 seconds left in overtime. So the Sabres do get a loser point. Pittsburgh coming to the KeyBank Arena tomorrow night. That is the only home game for Buffalo in the month of February.
Good. February can't leave soon enough. Let's get through this month quickly.
It's your favorite month, right?
The Olympics,
Yeah.
it's short, it's done. Get the Olympics in, and then let's get through the month of February and look ahead to March and brighter days.
UPL will not be on Team Finland, by the way. And Paul Hamilton said it was kind of a yes or no thing, so it's not to say that it's anything long-term. It's just, hey, are you ready to go this week? The answer is no. Okay, you can't be on the team.
I don't know that UPL, Alex Lyon, or anybody could have stopped that laser that was the game-tying goal there. In the third period, because what did that come in at, like 98 miles an hour? I mean, it was just a rocket.
But that overtime danger, that felt, and granted, it's 5-on-5 in overtime, but what I'm saying is
3-on-3.
When we get to the postseason, I mean, that felt like playoff hockey.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had another dog and pony show in Tampa. This in regards to a new stadium for the Rays at the press conference. Hey, it's Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred.
Boo.
And there's the Gov, Ron DeSantis. And they're both saying they're in favor of a plan to build a new stadium. This would be right in the vicinity of Legends Field and Raymond James Stadium. This is in Tampa. This would be different, not in St. Pete. Here's the problem. Few specifics were offered during this press conference, including, I don't know, how much this would cost or when it would be completed.
Okay. So they said, you know what would be a good idea? We build a baseball stadium near the football stadium, and that was the press conference? No other details offered up?
So I watched this special on Netflix, and this is like how history repeats itself, right? And they were having problems with the Montreal Expos stadium, and they end up leaving, as you know. And so the plan was, they didn't have a plan. Their plan was, we're going to show you the model here. We're going to tell you where it is, but it's not going to be funded. We're going to just try to get the public behind us, and we're going to get everyone excited.
With artist renderings.
Yeah, with artist renderings. Mm-hmm. Legitimately, there was no plan. And I wonder if that kind of falls into
do we all get it, though? I mean, like, the artist renderings are a lie. Not that they don't look like the artist renderings, but that's the lie that they use to sell you on how great it would be. I'm guilty of it. Like, when they were showing what a stadium in Chicago, next to where Soldier Field is, I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. I mean, it feels kind of like Soldier is a stadium in a park, and there's all kinds of recreation around there. That looks awesome if you're in downtown Chicago. It's not happening.
My favorite was Daniel Snyder put out one, and he had no funding. And in the stadium rendering, there was a moat around the stadium. Legitimately, somebody water skiing, because that's important.
In the same press conference where the Bears were unveiling those artist renderings, that was the one where you had the pastor praying, praying for a stadium, praying for the state to give these billionaires money to build a stadium. Amazing stuff. Hey, I hope the Rays figure something out soon, because it's kind of embarrassing that they're a pro sports team playing in a minor league sports park.
They feel like they don't get this done. All right. This is like what baseball's waiting for expansion, right? That's the last piece. The A's, I hate the fact that they got Vegas, but it's done, being built. What's going to happen with this Tampa franchise? If they can't figure this out, all right, then put them in Nashville, put them somewhere, and then let's expand it to other places.
We didn't hear a lot about, and maybe you can tell me, you watched more games than I do, but was there an issue with the outdoor games for Tampa this summer?
I'm not aware.
With the heat or with the rain
they,
delays?
Well, they front loaded it. So, like, meaning, all right, a lot of games were in the spring and then, didn't play as much. But they're going to be back at the Trop this year. So that's not it.
Oh, they are.
Oh yeah, they got the insurance money, so that's going to be fixed.
Oh, so the Trop is ready to go for this season.
But long term, the Trop is a dump.
Yeah.
So
and in Vegas, remind me, are they putting a roof on that? The translucent roof? What are they doing?
Translucent roof. I don't know if it's kind of completely closed in, but
that's going to be. I mean, I just imagine like the games that I do remember hearing. Sacramento games were
Sacramento games are brutal.
Yeah,
not a good place. It's not. It's a stadium smaller than ours here in Rochester,
and the heat is. You can't, come on, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Finally, WNBA star Cameron Brink says that yes, she would consider posing for Playboy.
What?
Brink telling TMZ this is on one condition. The condition being her fiance would have to sign off on this.
All right, you're going to have to educate me a little bit here. What is this Playboy she's speaking of, Gene?
Did you know they still, I had no idea they still publish this? I thought once you died and we waved our finger. And
I really am surprised to even hear the word Playboy. I haven't heard it in so long, in so many years, that I didn't even know. And so she's saying she would do a spread?
She would do a spread.
But she need to get signed up. Tasteful, of course, I'm sure. A tasteful spread.
Well, I mean, would just would the fiance say, how much money are we talking about?
I'm for it. Let's go. I don't know what Playboy is, but if she wants to...
We'll learn more about it.
All right, I'll educate myself. Invite you guys to do the same thing.
Do we get video of this Ryan Leaf, David Chow fight?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, by tomorrow's show. I mean, that's what I want. That's what the people want. Tomorrow
on the show, Michael F. Florio joining us from Radio Row, NFL Network. Also, we'll check in with Fitzy, WEEI, our Odyssey Sports sister station in Boston, and we'll suffer through some Patriots arrogance. If you missed any of today's show, you can find it in the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows. Search out the Sports Bar and stand by for BetMGM tonight. Next on the Fan Rochester. Have a great night.